Good morning. Welcome on in this Wednesday. Thanks for joining us, DJ and PK. DJ's off today. I'm PK. Well, football is upon us. All right, not really completely, totally football. More like practice football. But we'll take what we can get. Weber State started its practice yesterday. First of the year with our new coach, the high school legend, Eric Kjar. Did phenomenal work at Jordan, did phenomenal work at Corner Canyon. Now what can he do with Weber State? Can he revitalize that program? Get it to where Jay Hill had it, to where it was a power in the big sky and at their level making the national playoffs regularly. I remember it well. It was always fun watching Weber play early in December on those Friday nights where it'd be freezing cold and the Wildcats would be playing football. I remember that very, very well. Hopefully for Weber State and Coach Kjar, he can get it going and get that program back to where I think a lot of us would like to see. We'll see how it develops here in his first season. They first started practice, the first college team in the state of Utah to begin football practice, and now we are waiting for the University of Utah and BYU to start practice. With that in mind, we are talking football for sure. Now, let me tell you something here. We got two guys who really do a phenomenal job for us at KSLSports.com. These guys, Mitch Harper for BYU and Steve Bartle for Utah. These dudes know their stuff. Ask them anything about the football team, and they can give you answers, man. I'm not going to be afraid to say they know more than I do. I mean, they know all about the recruiting. They know about who's the depth chart. They can go deep to it and deep into it, I should say. And they've got a lot of experience doing what they're doing. So with that in mind, what we did is that we spent an hour talking Utah football. We spent an hour talking BYU football. Now, BYU, they're going to have some media availability tomorrow on Thursday. They've done this the last few years. They used to have their own media day when they were independent, right? And they'd have it down there on their campus. And that was really cool. They did a phenomenal job at that television facility that they have. Put it on their BYU TV station, invite the media there. We would go down and broadcast and then be able to talk to as many players pretty much as we wanted. All right, well, they don't have exactly that this time, but what they do have is a golf tournament here for the media, and then they have players available. And so we'll be down there broadcasting tomorrow. It's going to be at Timpanogos. And then what we do is, since we've been doing that since they got in the conference, can't really have their own media tournament or media day the way they used to. But what they do is have this tournament, make these guys available. We'll be broadcasting there, and it's been since they've been in the Big 12. So what is this, their third season now? No, it's our fourth season going into the Big 12. And Kalani's there, and maybe we'll snag a coordinator. So make sure you're listening to us in the 7 o'clock hour tomorrow, because we will get going with that as soon as we get there, and those guys get there. Those guys get there around 7 o'clock. So, yeah, we'll be doing that. Look forward to that. But for now, what we're going to do is go with Utah. Utah begins practice, I think, next Monday. Morgan Scalley will have his first practice as a new Ute head coach, and they'll have some media availability after the practice. So we talk with Steve Bartle. So what we're going to do in the first segment here on this Wednesday morning is just talk about Morgan Scalley, what he's doing differently, how he is the right guy for the job that they need at this time to be able to go ahead and raise funds for the program and really embrace it. You know, that's what you got to do. You've got to be able to be out there and shake hands, man. You got to become a politician, because let's face it, money is what matters. You know, I was listening to Kyle Whittingham doing an interview. Big Ten's having their meetings in Chicago this week, and they asked him, how many times have players come into your office or agents or what have you, and they say, I want more. And he said, well, there's just too many to even count. So that's what's going on. That's what happens now. So you got to have the funds, right? Which means you got to go out and raise the funds. And if you're a coach, you got to embrace it. And I think with Morgan Scalley, he has the right personality to be able to do that. For sure he does. I don't think there's any question about that. And so going into it, you're going to be a head coach these days. You better be a politician. You better shake hands, kiss babies, basically do whatever you need to do to get the money going. All right, so we talk about that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the offense. Devin Dampier, what is he going to do? Can he recreate what he did in the bowl game? He was sensational. Can he stay healthy? Looking to pass the ball more downfield. That's a big thing. You know, Utah talks about it, talked about it for the last couple decades, and then when they get in there in a crunch time, you know, it seems like they revert back. Well, a new day. So we think. We'll see if it's a new day. All right, here's the first segment with Steve Bartle. All right, thanks for joining us. Right now, we are going to talk some Utah football. It's not just all BYU here, because I bleed red. Absolutely, I bleed red. You can't argue. PK bleeds red. That's a fact. I'm speaking
Have we tested
factual.
this theory on air?
It's a fact. I bleed red. Cut me, Mick. I bleed red. Joining us now is our Utah Insider. You can read all of his stuff, all of his material, all the stuff he puts on his social media and at KSLSports.com. His name is Steve Bartle. Steve, good morning. Thanks for coming in. It is football time, and I know outside of your cute little family that I saw the other night, you live for this.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. Fall camp just a few days away. We're, 6 days from the first practice of fall camp under Morgan Scalley. Pretty exciting stuff.
Now, Utah, man, my gosh, you could set your watch by it every day. For the last 2 decades, we knew what it was going to be. It was a model of consistency. Kyle Whittingham, we all know what he's about, man, and he'll bring that stuff to Michigan, and away they go. But it's a new day at the U of U, so just your assessment of just the newness of it all. Now, it's not entirely new because you've got the ultimate Utah guy in Morgan Scalley, obviously, and he's been in the program, but he brings in some new guys, new coaching staff. For a program that has no change for 20 years, all of a sudden they get it all at once.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique situation with Morgan Scalley stepping up because it is a big change going from Kyle Whittingham to Morgan Scalley. First-year head coach, right? That's a new element that the program hasn't had to worry about for
long time.
But still the familiarity with who Morgan Scalley is, the fact he's been with the program since the mid-2000s as a coach, late 2000s, I guess, as a coach. There's still that feeling of it's the same old, right? That Utah football is just going to continue being what it's always been. And yet, from the moment Morgan Scalley coached in the Las Vegas Bowl to his introductory press conference to what we saw in spring ball, there is a little bit of a different mode of operation.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get your assessment on.
Yeah.
What have you noticed as far as any level of difference?
Yeah, going back to that bowl game, right? The on-field stuff first. That was our first exposure to Scalley as a head coach. I thought the offense was a little bit more aggressive. And obviously in a bowl game.
Awesome.
Yeah, in a bowl game, you're going to let loose a little bit and chuck the ball around, and that's what Utah did a little bit more. They took more vertical shots and capitalized on those opportunities. Then continuing into spring ball, I'll tell you, we had more access in spring than we've had under Kyle Whittingham in a long, it was a significant adjustment for us where we got to be up there multiple times a week watching full practices, not just 20 or 30-minute sessions. We got to watch entire sessions. And so it was that was new, and we continued to watch a lot of throw game. It wasn't as much run game stuff, and part of that too is just with it being spring ball. You're probably going to work on that. You're not going to go through the rigors of the run game stuff. But I do think everything that Morgan Scalley has said, where they want to maintain the physical, identity that they've built over the years, while also embracing the quarterback position and the passing game a little bit more. I think up to this point, everything we've seen so far suggests that they are going to kind of embrace that quarterback role. It was, at Big 12 Media Days, Pete Thamel had a little spot on Sports Center while they were talking about Utah, and that was the thing that they talked about, was the quarterback spot, that they haven't had somebody drafted, a quarterback drafted since Alex Smith, right? And that's going to be a major priority for Morgan moving forward is that quarterback position specifically.
Yeah, that really is something when you think about it. And obviously, Huntley has played in the NFL, so he made it. I don't understand why he wasn't drafted, but nevertheless, he did make it, and he was outstanding his senior year. There's no question about that. But you look at a program that has had that much success that hasn't had a quarterback stick, only one since Alex, even with all the success, it sort of blows your mind a little bit.
It really does. And obviously you can dive into the context of the situations, Travis Wilson going through the multiple coordinators. Yeah. Jordan Wynn with the injuries, right? There's been context to it all, but it is shocking that you go 2 decades now without a quarterback drafted, especially given the success that they've had, recently even. And with the quarterbacks that have come through the program, Tyler Huntley obviously taking that massive step from 2018 to 2019, where he came from out of nowhere and had a Heisman campaign middle of the season opening up with his play. COVID struck, and that sort of hindered his draft prospects a little bit. But, Utah's found good players to play that role over the last few years. And I think with what they've got in Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin, they feel like they've got a pretty good shot of getting one of those two guys drafted over the next couple of years.
Anything else as far as Scalley? Because he is different, and he's I think system-wide, schematically, from the defensive perspective, we'll see what we've seen. But I'm just wondering, personality-wise, his imprint will be different because he's a different human being. He's just not the same guy. I'm just wondering if you've seen anything that we might be able to anticipate that way.
Yeah, a much more engaged and energetic operation in terms of just how he interacts with players, with boosters, with fans. There was yesterday, Albert Gamboa. If you're a Utah fan, you know who I'm talking about, but he's usually at every single game, home or on the road, wearing the big football hat, right? And he's had the opportunity. Morgan Scalley showed up to his house yesterday or over the weekend just to mingle with one of the diehard Utah fans. And, that went out across social media, Instagram, Twitter, that Morgan Scalley went out and visited Albert. And, I can't recall Kyle Whittingham going to a random fan's house and spending a day with them, just mingling, right? And then Mark Harlan shared this in his media availability at Big 12 Media Days is, obviously with the environment that we're in now in college athletics, where it's all about money, right? And generating revenue opportunities, sponsorship deals, NIL opportunities for players. Morgan Scalley hasn't just been involved in those meetings. He's been the one that's been pushing for them and, volunteering himself to go to these meetings and meet with these people and try to, generate greater interest. And I think that, above all else, is what Utah needed moving forward. Obviously with Kyle Whittingham, he's a legend. He's an established figure in college football. But with where this game is headed, having Morgan Scalley in place, given these new requirements where you have to operate more as a CEO off the field than just being a head coach, I think Utah really has the right guy in place to help them in that aspect.
Yeah, and that's important. Kenny Gillihan has been doing that down in Tempe.
Yes. Yep.
I've been following that, and you got to do it. You can't just say, "Oh, well, that's unbecoming." No, it's reality, and it must be done. All right, you brought up the quarterbacks. I believe if Dampier stays healthy and if he plays like he did against Nebraska, wow, look out. That is a conference MVP caliber player right there.
I agree. I think, he proved last year that he can handle the speed, the physicality of the Big 12. Obviously, operating behind that offensive line certainly helped in how he was able to adjust. Now it's going to be on him to kind of grab the cape that he had at New Mexico, where he was the playmaker. He had to create a lot of things. He had to overcome, offensive line deficiencies. He's going to have to do a little bit more of that. And so, this season is going to be about how much Dampier can marry the efficiency and sound decision-making he developed last year with that, playmaking and an individual creation that he showcased at New Mexico. That's going to be the key for him this season. And given what Coach McGiven has brought in terms of his offense, and with Ryan Gunderson, a quarterback coach who spent time at UCLA and Oregon State developing quarterbacks, they've talked about developing Dampier as a more well-rounded pre-snap and post-snap decision maker. And I think that is going to be the big thing for him for his development this year, is making sound decisions and reads pre-snap and making those quick decisions, getting the ball out quickly and to the right guy. That's going to be the key for him in unlocking his potential as a potential MVP candidate, first team all conference type of guy. He's definitely in that conversation with the top four of Drew Mastemaker, Noah Fafita, Connor Wegman, Bear Bachmeier. Those guys, that's the top of the conference. And Dampier, given what they've added around him in that wide receiver room specifically, I think there's definitely a lot of room for him to emerge as that type of player.
I think they got a 1,000-yard rusher in Wayshawn Parker, and in talking to him at Media Day, I think he's out to prove that he's got the talent. It wasn't all the offensive line.
Yeah, I was watching film, over the weekend, and Wayshawn Parker, I was actually surprised at how often he had to create at the line of scrimmage. Given that offensive line and how we've come to talk about that group, and it was fantastic, right? Super elite in pass protection and run blocking. But Wayshawn had to create, around the line of scrimmage quite a bit. And not every single carry was that way, but, he has that ability to, navigate traffic around the line of scrimmage. And he's going to have to do a lot more of that this season. But the key here for Wayshawn and his ability to get to 1,000 yards is, one, the carry share. How many carries is he going to get? But Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin, being the threats that they are, is going to force defenses to remain balanced. They have to respect the threat of Dampier and Bird on those option reads, and that's going to help Wayshawn as he tries to get to 1,000 yards. But he definitely has that ability, right? He has that sneaky, home run athleticism where it doesn't look like he's a burner, but he's still pulling away from guys once he gets.
Guy.
Yeah, he's
reminds me of you
a little bit. A little bit. He's got it's not a full on gut, but there's there's a little.
He's sturdy.
Yeah. So he is a talented player, and I think, as you mentioned, his mentality is going to be key to him this season, and wanting to get to 1,000 yards, wanting to do all that he can to help Utah get these wins.
Now, Steve Bartle, our KSL Sports Insider for the Utes, you've heard this. We talked about the receivers for so many years, and they've got some new guys, and they got some guys that showed a little bit last year, and maybe they're ready to take a next step. But then you got oh my gosh, here we go again, and you know about this. There's a lot of skepticism with that receiver group. Why do you think that this could be different?
Yeah, last year Utah did a lot with what they had in Ryan Davis, Dallin Bentley, Larry Simmons. Things didn't click with others, but they still had players emerge over the course of the season. And this year for me, when I look at Braden Pagan's numbers, 920 yards,
coming
2
down
drops,
from Logan.
Caught it in traffic, in contested situations at a really high rate. I think he was a 55% completion rate in contested situations, which is great for him. His ability, his threat, getting vertical, getting into the intermediate, is going to do a lot for the passing game. I think Utah's passing attack last year was just limited because, Ryan Davis was great working the intermediate and short areas of the field. Dallin Bentley, another intermediate and short area of the field type of target. It was a low ceiling, right? And this year with Braden Pagan coming in, Kyrie Scholes, these are guys that add some vertical stretch that are going to create opportunities like Larry Simmons, who had to operate specifically, almost exclusively, as the deep threat guy, him and J.J. Buchanan, because you had Dallin and Ryan, operating underneath. And so having that ability outside with Pagan, with Scholes coming in, it's going to create a little bit more flexibility in terms of who they can use in the intermediate and short areas of the field, which is going to open things up. So I think given the fact that you have a wide receiver one like Pagan, who has the proven production at Utah State. Obviously, it's got to translate, but the fact that he's coming with McGivern from Utah State, I think, is a big advantage for him. And his presence will do a lot to help everybody else kind of find their role and kind of give McGivern some flexibility in maximizing their opportunities and how they utilize these guys.
All right, coming up next, we're going to move into the second segment with Steve Bartle. Stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. We appreciate your listenership this early in the morning. We've got Utah football to talk about. You just heard us talk about the offense. Well, naturally, what are we going to talk about now? We're going to talk about the defense, right? What's going on with the defense? Some new faces, some new guys are going to have to merge, particularly up front, and really at all three levels, the linebacker and also in the defensive backfield. There's some familiar faces, defensive line, where they've been sturdy for so many years. They got some new guys that now is their time. I mean, they've been in the program a year or two, maybe a two going into the third one for the case of Kjar Dillon. But now's the time where they really need to make a name for themselves and establish who they are. So here we are with Steve Bartle. The headline today is football, and more college football. Joining us is Steve Bartle. He covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. We talked a little bit about the offense. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. We talked about, with change for Utah. I think this year I might have, I don't know if necessarily question marks is the right phrase, but intrigue maybe. Some newer guys who've been in the program, waiting their time, and now the time is here to see what they can do. So let's just start at all three. Up front, a kid like Carson Kafusi, a Kjar Dillon. These guys have been in the program, but they got to step it up now.
Yeah, those are two guys that I think Utah is going to be counting on to step up. Carson Kafusi was a true freshman last year as a defensive tackle. Kjar Dillon is going into his third year this year. Those are two players that have stepped up in different ways. I think Carson has really kind of taken grasp of the leadership role, being a vocal leader in that defensive tackle room and kind of, grabbing on. So that defensive tackle spot up at Utah, it's a prideful position group.
Sure, a lot of history.
A lot of history there. And I think Carson has really kind of latched on to that element and really tried to lead with that in mind. And again, this is a credit to our opportunity to see him up close in practice during spring, just the way that he was talking and getting after guys and going through reps. You could tell that he's carrying a different confidence about him and really embracing that leadership role. And with Cash, he is he's viewed as the guy opposite of Lance Holsclaw, who we've had the opportunity now to talk to him a couple times this offseason. He's had quite the offseason, and it's been really fun to kind of follow along with what he's been involved with going up to Capitol Hill and being involved in those conversations. But with Kjar Dillon, he is a physical presence, on that edge. And I think it's going to look obviously different going from John Henry Daly and Logan Fano, who were, had great first steps. They were guys that wanted to get pressure on the pocket, get pressure on the quarterback, get into the backfield and make tackles for loss. Maybe it's a little different this year with Kjar Dillon and Ethan Day and Lance Holsclaw, where it's more about being physical up front and controlling the line of scrimmage, where you're limiting, rushing lanes and that. And I think Cash is really, he's got the body, the frame to play that kind of role. How much has he developed as a pass rusher? I think that's going to be the key for him, especially operating opposite of Holsclaw.
Linebacker, what's going on in that position? You had some graduation, obviously, there. Jonathan Hall, still there, looking like he's ready to be the next, I don't know if I want to call star just yet. I want to see some more, but certainly the next playmaker. But just speak to that position and the other guys involved.
Yeah, the linebacker position has been headlined by a couple of guys. Lander Barton, Levani Demoody when he transferred in from Stanford. Yeah. And Jonathan Hall has just quietly sort of assumed more and more opportunity, more and more responsibility. And last year, he was the top producer on the defensive side of the ball. Led the team in tackles, was number 4 or 5 in pressures as a linebacker, getting more than Lander, who, that's how he operated, was kind of that stud backer, blitzing off the edge and those type of opportunities. He made plays in coverage and really was a sound tackler. I think he had the second or third lowest missed tackle rate. So, there are a lot of encouraging signs when you're looking at what Hall was able to do last year. This year, it's going to be on him to lead the way, not just in that linebacker room, but as on the defensive unit as an entire unit. He's going to be that guy. And Morgan Scalley has talked about it over the years that, when you have players that are switching positions, and Hall switched from safety to linebacker a few years ago, it usually takes them 2 to 3 years to get comfortable. And in that third year, that's when it all has to come together, not just in terms of your understanding of the position and what you have to do, but everybody else is looking at you to be that guy. And I think that's going to be the key for Hall, is embracing that role, and just in the way that he's conducted himself this offseason, going back to spring ball and our interviews with him, media days, and how engaged he was with us, the media members. I think there are encouraging signs there, but they're going to need others to step up around him. Trey Reynolds has been another that's been in the program a few years. Yep. Cyrus Polu is a second-year player. He's a true freshman last year that I have really high expectations for. I expect him to kind of emerge as a playmaker as the season goes on. And then you're going to see other guys, Elijah Ellis, who another Ellis in that family tree. He's going to be a linebacker in that rotation. And so they're going to need others to step up around them. They're going to have to solidify the depth beyond that top 3 or 4. That's going to be really important for that linebacker group. But in terms of what they have in Jonathan Hall, I think there's a lot of confidence in what sort of step he can take forward this season.
Defensive backfield, you got some familiar names, Evans, Ritchie, Benny, losing Smith to go with Kyle over there to Michigan. I think it was a blow. Mm-hmm. But it happens, you got to roll with it. No sense worrying about it. So they got some names. What do you expect there, and maybe some newer faces? Yeah,
I think if you're Utah, right, and you're looking at that group, losing Smith Snowden, a talent like that, an athlete like him, that's definitely tough. But you had Scooby Davis emerge as a playmaker on the outside. I think he led the team, or he was second or third behind Jackson Benny, who led the team in interceptions. Scooby had a couple of pick sixes, one against Baylor and another against Kansas. So you feel good about bringing him back to man one of those outside spots. And I think what they learned last year was, bringing in Blake Cotton, who was a senior transfer from UC Davis, a lower level. It took him a couple weeks to kind of settle in. But right around that West Virginia game, he settled into that starting role and really became arguably the most disruptive in terms of what he was able to limit completion percentage-wise among the 3 cornerbacks, Scooby, Smith, and Blake. And I feel like there's optimism in who they brought in from the transfer portal to kind of replicate that same formula this year. So they brought in a couple guys, James Bobo Chenault, his nickname's Bobo, and he's going to be in that mix for one of those outside starting spots. And then another player is Elijah Reed, who they actually recruited a few years ago coming out of high school. He was a late bloomer, ultimately ended up signing with Kentucky. He transferred to Akron last year and really emerged as a solid starter at Akron. Transfers here to Utah, and he's going to be, I think it's going to be one of those two, Chenault or Reed, as the starting cornerback. But then, looking at those safeties, bringing Benny back, and as well as Evans and Ritchie, that's a big-time luxury. There's a lot of depth in that safety position, a lot of versatility with Benny. You can potentially get really creative with that group and how you can deploy them. And another name to remember here is Rock Caldwell.
I got him on my list.
Yeah. 6'3", 195 pounds. He's operating in the nickel. So he's got experience operating on the outside as a corner, also as a safety, and that sort of versatility. we heard it before spring ball and just kind of had those questions like, is he a 6'3" nickel? Is that real? Like, and then seeing him operate in that role throughout spring, it looked really, really interesting. It added a lot of size compared to what we've seen in that spot, you know, in years past, and really just led to a lot of disruption in the passing game. So they've got a lot of flexibility with what they can do with some of the guys that they have in that secondary. But I think they feel really confident that they're going to be able to continue their brand of ball in that secondary.
How many years with the pick six now?
Oh, 19?
19?
19, I think.
If I'm betting, I see no reason why not to bet 20.
I hear you. I hear you. They've got some dudes. They've obviously with Scooby coming back, Jackson Benny. Those are the two guys that had pick sixes. John Hall almost had one last year as well.
Did Barton have one?
Barton had one the year before.
The year before, okay.
Yep, the year before against Iowa State. It took him a while to get to the other end of the field, but he was pretty gassed. But he got there. So yeah, that was the one that actually extended. That was late in the year where it was like, are they going to get it? And Leonard came through against that Iowa State game. I think that was like the second to last game of the season.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember which year, but I know, and I remember the run and all that stuff. But I'm definitely expecting them because on the defensive side, I mean, I know that they brought in a new coach because they made the change with Swan moving up and all, but you still got Sharif there. It just seems like they got a lot of continuity on that side of the ball offensively because of Kyle taking most. I think Atawaya was the only returner as far as a coach there. Defensively, maybe some newer names, which is exciting to see some newer guys to see how they can develop. But I feel confident in the staff being able to develop those guys. But they back end, and then obviously Powell took off on the front end.
Yeah.
But from that perspective, Shaw gives me a lot of level of comfort. Of here's a man who played the position, obviously at the school, and is a great talker, a great communicator, always fun to talk to.
Yeah.
And knows his stuff on how to teach what they're looking for. And it seems like I've covered a lot of coaches over the years. I don't know that I could say anybody has had a tighter relationship with his players than Sharif Shaw.
He is a special human being. When you get the opportunity to just sit down and talk with him, he is one of those guys that you're just drawn to him because of how personable he is, how charismatic he can be. You
see why he was a lawyer in a courtroom.
Yeah. And that obviously translates to his relationship with his players.
Yeah.
And, for Morgan, naming him the associate head coach, I think was, valuable in so many ways because Shaw is the person that can keep Scalley, right? Like that checks and balance type of relationship, right? And I feel like that's valuable. Holding on to Mark Atawaya and naming him the assistant head coach, I think is a nod to him and what he did his first year here last year. What Scalley's also done, bringing in Chad Bumpus, who spent a couple years here prior, during those Rose Bowl seasons, those Pac-12 championship seasons, there's familiarity there as well. And then obviously with Jordan Gross, Scalley and him were teammates all the way back when. So there's familiarity there. And two, with the players in that room, Gross has been around the program so much that the players have known him. They've developed a relationship with him, and that sort of helped Utah in hanging on to them as Harding left for Michigan. And, defensively, Scalley was able to hold on to more of that side of the ball with Shaw and Swan and Coach Ellis, bringing in Derek Odom, former Utah player.
Sure.
I think Scalley was coached under him or coached beside him. I can't remember specifically. And then Enoke Brechterfield. So it's an interesting staff, but there's still a lot of continuity, familiarity with one another. And I think the fact that he's honored, Shaw and Atawaya, and those two personalities that they have in those roles, I think is sort of indicative of just kind of the overall vibe that Scalley is trying to create with his staff.
Oh, I think that's a fact, yeah.
Those two are, they're energetic, they're loud, they're emotional, they're really good with their players, and I think that is something that Scalley is really trying to grasp a hold of.
And I think, too, not that Kyle cast a negative long shadow, but he cast a shadow.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to show we can do this too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is that buy-in. And, given the opportunity this year with what they're bringing back on the field with, Dampier and Bird and Wayshawn, some of the players that they've brought in through the transfer portal, they feel like they've got a pretty competitive squad, and they can do exactly that, to say, hey, we can do this too.
All right, that's the defense now. We've covered the offense and the defense. Now we're going to look ahead, talk about maybe who can be a first-team all-conference, and then what about recruiting. Stay with us. We'll be right back talking Utah football on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. We appreciate your listenership this early in the morning. We've got Utah football to talk about. Now, you just heard us talk about the offense. Well, naturally, what are we going to talk about now? We're going to talk about the defense, right? What's going on with the defense? Some new faces, some new guys are going to have to merge, particularly up front. And really at all three levels, the linebacker and also in the defensive backfield. There's some familiar faces, defensive line, where they've been sturdy for so many years. They got some new guys that now is their time. I mean, they've been in the program a year or two, maybe a two going into the third one for the case of Cash Dillon. But now's the time where they really need to make a name for themselves and establish who they are. So here we are with Steve Bartle. Steve, if I ask you, and I will ask you, how many first-team all-conference performers do you think that is on this team, offensively, defensively, whatever it might be?
Yeah, that's a great question, PK. There's a lot of good players in the Big 12 this year. And like we were talking about to start with Devin Dampier, I think he's somebody that can certainly put his name on that first-team ballot. His partner in the backfield, Wayshawn Parker, he has that sort of potential this year. But again, there are so many good quarterbacks in this league, so many good running backs, probably even more good running backs this year. So it'll say a lot if those two get those nods. Braden Pagan, wide receiver, I think he's somebody that can put himself on that list. And if he does, it's probably because Dampier is also on that list.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know that Utah has somebody on that offensive line that can break through this year, given what's in the league this year at offensive line. Texas Tech has a great line. Cincinnati, BYU, those three, programs lead the league in offensive linemen this year, where Utah was leading that race last year.
Yeah, no question about that.
Defensively, Jonathan Hall, I think, will have a case. Jackson Benny, I think he has he's got his name out there enough where if
he's coming from a good starting point.
Yep. And just like there are a lot of good defensive backs in this league as well. Putting that all-conference, that preseason vote for all-conference team was really tough. You have to leave off really good players throughout the league.
I think Davis might have a shot.
Scooby, I think if he has another year like he did last year, building on it, where he gets a couple interceptions, maybe takes one back, gets those PBUs, he'll be in that conversation, but he's going to have to really improve kind of how sound he is. Jackson Benny, I think, is the best option in that secondary to kind of emerge as that first conference all guy. So I think you're looking at probably 5-6 guys first team. I think you'll have more potentially second and third team. I wish the Big 12 would give us an opportunity to vote on second team. That would allow a lot of the local beat writers to kind of shine a light on the teams that they cover, that they're around, right?
Yeah.
With how they have it structured, you only get to vote on one team. And if you're not doing your job, it's just, the default answer is who's the best players. It just doesn't allow us to shine a light on the local guys that we cover on our beats. So I would love to see the Big 12 give us the opportunity to vote first team and second team, all conference preseason. That way we get more of these players opportunities.
Okay,
to
I'll
get their
call
name
your
out there.
mark today.
Yeah, please. Please do.
Football and college sports, it's never ending with recruiting, and you got this season, but you're preparing at the same time for down the road. And I know you guys, you and Mitch Harper, who does it for BYU, you guys are experts at this. Just give us an update as far as where they are recruiting.
Yeah, Utah, really did a lot of work in the month of June. And
seemed like they were getting commitments almost every day.
Yeah. It was, we got to those final couple weeks of the month, and it was like a couple per day almost.
Right.
And so Scalley definitely got it going in that month. I think they finished right around 20 commits. which is significant because they entered the month with only 3 on the commit list. So, they really did a good job of hitting some pipeline states. Obviously, the focus was here within the state. I think they landed 7 or 8 players from within the state: Diesel Dart, Ian Aloisio, Fui Vakapuna, Jackson West out of Corner Canyon as well. He's somebody that I'm really high on. I think he'll see, if he gets more opportunity on that defensive line, I think he's going to be somebody that we see, when it comes December and these recruiting ratings start to get those bumps. He'll be one of those guys. They hit the state of Texas and the states of Arizona and a couple other states as well, but really hit the pipeline states, but focused on the talent within the state. And I think that's big for Scalley because his message has been, he feels like he can create a championship contender primarily due to the talent within the state. And we've seen it over the years. The talent has grown, not only on the top end, but the depth of talent in the state of Utah has just grown exponentially. So to build your foundation, his first year as the head coach with such a heavy focus on in-state talent, I think is just going to help them moving forward beyond this year. But they got a lot of good players, and with signing day, the early signing period not coming until December, a lot of work to do still on adding some pieces to the class, also defending and keeping other programs away and keeping guys committed. Long ways to go, but I know that they feel pretty good about what they've done so far.
If I were to do a poll right now, I think there's, to me, is top 3. I go Tech, BYU, Utah, my top 3, and probably in that order. But that would mean that the Utes are right there. What do you think as far as the top 3? Are there, or is there enough separation that it looks like when we get to December and everything is said and done, when we have the 2 teams playing at the Cowboy Stadium, that'll be 2 of those 3?
Yeah, I think I share the same top 3. I think it's Tech, I think it's BYU, and I think it's Utah. Obviously, with Utah, they have a lot of questions, more so than the other programs.
Right.
But with Tech, they have the biggest question at that quarterback position, right? Does it click with why am I blanking on his name? Will Hammond, right? BYU, they've got questions with the wide receiver position. What if LG Martin struggles with injuries this year and that running back depth? They have a lot of answers, right? They bring back a significant portion of their defense. Utah, obviously, with the continuity that they have with Dampier and Morgan in that, but they have a lot of spots to fill. So when I look at those top 3, I look beyond them and look at Houston, Arizona, and Kansas State as 3 programs who, Arizona they bring back really important pieces, but they've got a tough schedule. Houston, they bring back a lot of good pieces, and really kind of emphasize the line of scrimmage, which is key. They have a pretty manageable schedule. Obviously, starts week 3 with Texas Tech. They come to Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
that's going to define their season.
Right. And
then Kansas State is kind of a wild card for me. Colin Klein, obviously, first year, but you look at that schedule. It's so manageable for them. They were in a lot of tight games last year, lost a lot of one-score games.
Right.
Many of which came down to the fourth quarter, the final minutes, like the Utah-Kansas State game last year.
Yeah.
I think they have an opportunity to kind of be that team that we see go from the bottom and kind of flip the story that following year. So I have those 3 that I think can challenge those top 3.
Yeah, you speak of, and that's what's so cool about this conference, is that what do you do in these one-score games? Now, you look at Houston, man, they just about everything went their way with those one-score games. And can it be repeated? Can it be replicated? It seems like it's hard to be able to do that. And maybe Houston can do that. I'm not saying that they can't, but you just wonder their level of the ball bounce their way, whatever it might be in that particular season. And so I know, like 2 years ago, the Devils, man, they were winning close games every freaking week.
Right.
And I know they had some injuries last year, and 6-3 is okay, but they weren't able to reproduce as good as they were because close games make me wonder, which as a fan and as a media member, I like. Yeah. Because that means, wow, it's exciting, and there's so many games that could go either way. But I do think those 3 teams I'm comfortable with. The other teams, I buy your reasoning. We'll see, particularly Arizona, because I think Fafita, I think he's the best passer in the conference. If he were 6'2", he wouldn't be at Arizona.
No.
He'd be in the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's that type of player. And with Arizona State, that schedule, all of your tough games are on the road, right?
I know. Right.
Texas A&M,
it's not conducive.
Tech, BYU, Arizona, they're all on the road. And that's kind of the difference between Arizona State and Utah is that all their tough games are at home.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that could make a difference. And
almost all of their tough games.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. All right, that's Steve Bartle. That is our Ute Conversation. You can follow him the rest of the season at KSLSports.com and his social media, Twitter, and all that stuff. What's your handle and all that?
At Bartle, KSL Sports.
Yeah, very simple to remember. I've seen him out there. This guy, game day, is running around with his head cut off, trying to do everything on the field, over wherever the fans might be, what is happening, because we've had game day and Fox Big Noon, and I think game day, you drop about 7 pounds of just the sweat of you running all over the place.
Easily. Dude, I've dropped 15 pounds since media day.
Good morning. Okay, we've been covering Utah football. We'll talk about BYU football tomorrow. Tomorrow will almost be all day. We'll be down there I'll be down there in the morning, and then Scotty and the coach will be there right after me, talking BYU football as they have a little version of their media day, locally speaking, tomorrow. But for right now, we've got one more segment on Utah football, and we're going to talk with Steve Bartle, who is our Ute insider for KSLSports.com. You can read all of his stuff, catch all the stuff that's going on there, and all the great work that he and Mitch Harper do. Our BYU insider can be found digitally at KSLSports.com, plus their Twitter and all the other stuff that they got going on there. We talk, who does he think is going to be all conference, and then recruiting. Recruiting's taken on a new way now with the early signing period, first part of December. And these kids commit. June was a big month for Utah. They got a lot of commits going. It seemed like every day they were getting one commit after another. Some days even getting multiple players. So where do they stand with recruiting? Here we go. All right, last hour was Utah. Coming up next, we got What's Trending, catch you up on what's going on in the world of sports. Riley Jensen will be joining us for the rest of the show. Keep it locked on. We appreciate your listenership right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is What's Trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NFL.
There's battles everywhere on the roster, so it's important for me to be fair to the players is to put the best player out there. When we go out to practice tomorrow, Kirk Cousins is the starting quarterback. He's the guy, and he's going to get a ton of reps, and he deserves them because he's played really good football. But I want Fernando and I want Aiden to push him.
That is the new Raiders coach, Clint Kubiak, on Kirk Cousins being the starter. Now, obviously, he is a veteran of many, many years. Seems like, 15 years. And Fernando Mendoza is there. The number one pick, Riley Jensen, quarterback coach extraordinaire, sitting in for DJ. What do you think of that? Kirk Cousins being the starter from day one. And what do they do with Fernando Mendoza?
I don't think they could have found a better match for Mendoza. I think this is a perfect situation for Mendoza. He gets to watch for a little while. When Kirk starts to struggle a little bit, they'll bring in the new player. Dude, these two cheese balls deserve each other. I love these two together. I mean, they're like the same person like 20 years later. I'm excited. I like Fernando. I think he's a good player. I think there's a lot of things that he's going to have to do a little bit better to be in the NFL for a long time. And I think Kirk Cousins is the perfect match for him. He's the guy that can help him out. He can guide him. He can show him things and warn him about some pitfalls going forward in his career.
But if Fernando Mendoza doesn't play a lot and doesn't have a great season, it blows my whole slogan. Because 45 years ago, 1981, which I think is 45 years ago. Help me out if it's not, but I think it is. The Dodgers brought up a pitcher by the name of Fernando Valenzuela, and we had Fernando Mania. And now, 45 years later, I want Fernando Mania.
Well, it's still coming.
I know, but it has to be this year.
It has to be this year because
Fernando Mania with the Dodgers, didn't he play like 8 shutouts in a row? Do you remember that?
Why does it have to be this year?
Because
41 years
it
ago.
happened this year 45 years ago. Nobody says a slogan 46 years ago. It either has to be 40 or 45.
No one says 45 years ago.
They say the
They
5.
don't say that.
Yes, it is.
No, they don't.
Either it's a
The only
0
5
or a
is
5.
75. The only 5 is 70. Nobody goes 35 years ago
Yes,
today.
yes,
No,
they do.
Nobody cares about 35. They do like 25 and they do 75. Those are the only 5s in there.
25 and 75. We got to wait
20
50 years to celebrate something?
No, I'm saying if you use a 5, it's only 25 and 75. No one cares about 35. Nobody cares about 45. Nobody cares about 65 years ago today. It might as well go 66. Nobody freaking cares.
Yeah, but you think of 66, you think of the old freeway. You don't even think of that. That's a poor example.
Because you think of the old freeway.
Yeah, Route 66. Haven't you ever heard of it?
Well, I'm
And
just
then they
saying
build
nobody
I-80,
cares
and they killed
65
all
or
those businesses.
66. They don't care.
Didn't you see the movie Cars? What's wrong with you?
I did see the movie Cars. There's a really good line in there.
What is it?
They ask him, they said, hey, how did you know you could do that? And he goes, I just never thought I couldn't.
Oh,
It's a great line.
it's like me in stardom.
Right. You never thought you couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. And now, when I played baseball, it's like,
You had a case of the can'ts and don'ts.
why did you think you were going to suck? Because I never thought I could do anything but. 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan brought some reporters in and said it was his fault, not the other driver, as some previous erroneous reports had suggested. He said that his phone slid into a crack between the seats of his car and caused the accident reaching for it. You know, the old phone driving. Yikes. How many people have died because of that? That's nasty. And so my wife came up with the idea. She saw this thing and she bought it. It's a little, almost a container between the console and the seat. So if anything falls, it falls right in there, and then you don't have to go searching around. Or what I like to do.
Oh, the little thing in between. I've seen that.
Yeah,
in between the seats, and it has a phone holder in there, or it causes it so it doesn't fall into the hole there.
Right, and then you can just reach down and get it, whether it be keys, glasses, whatever. But what I like to do is keep it plugged in. So then if it falls, then I can just reach the cord. And, you know, we were at the staff barbecue a couple weeks ago. Yak was there, and I found out one of the moms of a husband who works on the station was saying something about the child had some chores that day. And she asked the child, are you going to complete those chores as assigned? And he said, yeah, I will when you stop texting when we're driving. That was his response. And she wanted to wallop him, but had to.
A little disrespectful in public.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe a.
And that's an
private-
on-air guy. So then you guys can guess whose son said that to on-air got one of our on-air guys, which is a tongue twister to say, but you get the point. So yeah, he put that out there, man. Oh man, they would have had as Bruce Arians once said about one of his players when he was coaching the Cardinals. He's got a foot problem. And one of the reporters said, I thought it was an arm or something else. He said, no, it's a foot problem because he was dogging it at practice. And you know how far I stuck my foot up there. And now he has a foot problem. Baker Mayfield, he's not reaching a contract extension with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he'll play out the final season, then become a free agent. And he'll probably be the Raiders' starting quarterback next year, the way they go. And the Browns, they made cornerback Denzel Ward the NFL's top-paid corner. 2-year, $62.5 million extension. He got $52.3 million guaranteed, and his $31.3 million on average tops is his position. Ooh, man. Cornerbacks are important. They're on the island. You have to say that.
Revis Island.
Yeah, you have to say that.
You do.
Denzel Ward. You know, my wife, she taught in South Central LA at Washington Prep High
I
School.
knew that.
And
I thought it was Compton, but you corrected me the other day. And it was South
108th
Central.
and Danker, South Central.
Right.
And they did a movie. Remember when they used to have TV movies movie of the week, like
Yeah.
on ABC or something. Well, they did this movie after she was
Like
there.
the after-school special?
Yeah, it was at like 8 o'clock
Gotcha.
in the evening. And they did this movie on this principal who revitalized Washington High School in South Central Los Angeles and called it Washington Preparatory High School, meaning you'll go on to college. So they did this big movie about it. And the star of the movie, this plays into Denzel, who played George McKenna. You can look it up, the George McKenna story. It's there.
It was Denzel?
It was Denzel, a young Denzel.
Nice.
Yeah, he's like 25 years old.
Is Dorsey High School in South Central?
Close enough, yeah.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I had a couple teammates down at Snow from Dorsey High School.
that's where Sharif Shaw played,
Okay.
and Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
Okay.
They
This
kind
from Dorsey?
Susan Dorsey is her name.
Yeah.
It had a little demographical makeover by the time Sharif got there, and so they were. And I covered LA City schools, and they were LA City.
I just specifically remember that because those were the LA riots in 1992.
1992, Wednesday, April 29th. I was covering baseball, and I took a transistor radio to the game because I knew there was potential for trouble, and I didn't want to be driving in that area where I was covering the games. I wanted to make sure I got on the freeway and did not do side streets, and got home, watched my
Right.
city explode, and Reginald Denny get...
So you were living there?
I was living there. Yeah, I was right there.
Yeah, he told, well, both of them, one of them specifically told me, and I ain't ever going home.
And Washington High School was where the National Guard took over and stored their artillery to calm the riots. So that was right there, and that was on a Wednesday. I remember it vividly.
I'm sure you do.
And then that following Saturday, we went down as a group to help the cleanup, and that was something that I never thought I would see. So you got that going on. Wes Welker, he's now the Washington Commanders tight ends coach, being tapped to take over a position after Ben Steele was fired following a DWI charge last month. Okay, let's move on to college football.
Hashtag college football.
I don't think anything more than to say. I would just reference my comments earlier in the winter. I think I gave everybody a pretty clear indication of how those have went, and nothing's changed from my vantage point. We want to play the game. I want to play the game. We would be playing the game. Had some things come true that were said, and so hopefully we get to that point. Obviously, we want it to happen. I know our fan base wants it to happen. College football wants it to happen, and hopefully I'm up here, next year talking about, that game here on the future schedule. So we'll keep making progress and let you know if we have any more updates.
That's USC coach Lincoln Riley on why USC bailed on the rivalry with Notre Dame. That game should be played. It must be played. But since it's not played, the Cougars of BYU are going to be playing Notre Dame October 17th in Provo, Utah. Plus, the return game is next year, right? So they would, if SC is back on the schedule, they'd have to rearrange some stuff there. We'll see how that plays out. That's a rivalry that hits home, having worked in LA and then grew up in the East Coast in a Catholic environment where Notre Dame is such a big deal. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti reiterated his league support for 2014 playoff model, said they can still eliminate the conference title games in time for the new format to begin in 27, which is obviously a year and a half from now, if all parties agree to expand the field. The faster it goes, the easier it will be. We'll get to that later on with Riley Jensen sitting in. Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz warned of what he sees as a growing, quote, imbalance in the sport with NIL money flowing. When we went to the Rose Bowl in 1981, the 13 years prior to that, there were two teams that went to the Rose Bowl from the Big Ten. So basically, everybody was lining up in August for third place. If we're not careful, we're going to get that kind of imbalance in college football. That's just how I see it. How do you see it?
Man, I think there's some truth to it, but the outliers that I would throw at you would be like Vanderbilt and BYU, who weren't paying players underneath the table, and weren't doing some of those things underneath the table, and they've been able to flourish under NIL.
You got to put Indiana in there too.
Indiana, right? So some of these teams maybe had some morals back in the day, and
I used to have morals. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
right, you remember?
Yeah.
And now that the rules have changed and it's legal, you know, the Vanderbilts, BYU, Indiana have been able to rise up and pay players legally, and I think there's an argument to be made that like maybe some other teams will start winning because the rules have loosened it up a little bit for them to follow it the way they want to follow it. So look, he has his opinion. There's lots of opinions out there. NIL is a crazy deal right now. I think everybody's trying to navigate those waters, and once the dust finally settles, and I don't know if it really will, because every time I say that, like a new nuance or a new different thing comes out with NIL. But if it ever does settle, I think we'll have a great product and a more balanced product than we've ever had.
All right, we'll see about that. We'll expand that a little later in the show. And hours after Ohio State announced its record jersey patch sponsorship, reportedly worth $17 million with J.P. Morgan Chase. Notre Dame, we're going SoFi, between $18 and $20 million. There you go. Classic example. It never ends. When will it end in the race to win?
What was BYU's patch I saw the other day?
Entrada.
That's right.
That
it was worth 18 to 20 million.
I don't know what it's worth, but I'm guessing it's not that. We can. The guy's a listener. I know he follows us on Twitter. Yock, if you see him, get him. Big BYU guy, and get him on. We can talk to him about it. Ole Miss seeking close to $1 million in penalties from two of its former players who signed revenue-sharing contracts to return to the Rebels last season before opting out to join the Devil, Lane Kiffin at LSU. They're seeking $550,000 from defensive end Princewell Umanamilian and $400,000 from former O lineman Devin Harper, plus attorney's fees and court fees and lawsuits filed yesterday in Oxford, Mississippi. Yeah, and I want the Sun Devils to get some money, man. Sam Levitt, we're not good enough for you. Let you get to the playoff and then you leave us, and you don't even go to the team banquet at the end of the season. Oh my gosh. A lot of stuff to talk about college football today, and we will do that. Let's move on to the NBA.
Hashtag NBA.
If you go back to Cleveland, even if you go back to Cleveland and win a championship, it's not going to be as good as 2016. If you go to Miami and win a championship, it's not going to be as good as 2012, 2013. Those two places kind of got eliminated just because. You look at Golden State, and I ultimately don't think Brown was ever able to get over the history. And I understand it. I get it. What we all ultimately always knew is like, that's the hurdle to get over. You know, we live in a day and age where everybody who doesn't have anything to say have something to say. And so he's going to get crushed if he comes to the Warriors. Oh, man, you went to team up with Steph. You had to go to them, da-da. And I think ultimately that weighed in on the decision a lot. That played a big role in the Warriors not landing LeBron.
That's Draymond Green. So we live in a day and age where somebody who has nothing to say has something to say. Okay. Didn't make any sense, but what the heck? And he's going to return to the Warriors next season on a $27.7 million deal. He's the only player in NBA history that have made more $250 million in on-court earnings. 67 have reached that mark, and does not have a career average north of 10 points a game. I don't have any problem with that. Draymond brings a lot of attention to himself, obviously. And I think he once had a triple-double and did not score 10 points. So his value is obviously well beyond and way beyond, and does not include scoring.
It's a great teammate.
Which is fine. Yeah, help your team win, man. It's about winning.
I like Draymond. He's a great teammate.
Yeah. Maybe tone it down just a little.
Like when I draw it up and I'm like, hey, son, here's the type of player I want you to be as far as how to be a teammate. I just give him highlights of Draymond Green, like punching teammates, talking down to superstars, cussing coaches out. I love that dude.
So you were being sarcastic.
That's exactly how I want my son to be.
He's already there.
From what you've heard?
Oh, yeah, word on the street. Man. Oh, my gosh. Okay, let's move on to MLB.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
The next one. Swung on and hammered to deep right. Away, back and gone. A grand slam to right by Kyle Manzardo. 4-0 Cleveland on Kyle Manzardo's first grand slam of the year.
Swung on, hit high, deep, center field. Has he done it again? Warning track wall, sail away, Dom Canzone. He has done it again.
Swung on and hit high in the air. Deep right center field. It's got a chance, Thomas, at the wall, and it is off the wall, and it bounces by both fielders. Caratini scores. Lee's going to score. Royce Lewis has tripled home the winning runs.
Oh! Those some highlights. Shohei. Yeah, he done it again. I'm looking at it right now against the old beleaguered, was it the Rockies? No, Seattle.
They played Seattle last night, yeah.
Castillo was watching there.
Dom Canzone, two homers for Seattle.
Yeah, the former Diamondback who they gave away. Hit 2 home runs there. And Shohei led off the game with a 432-foot Blastarino. There you go as far as that goes. And you heard Manzardo with the grand slam for Cincinnati in the bottom of the 4th. But they lose to Cleveland. Tigers walloping the Orioles 14-0. Oh, the D-backs, my gosh, their bullpen sucks. They're up 6-0. They give up 3 in the 8th, 3 in the 9th, but then win it in the 12th. How about that? And Bryce Harper couldn't get it going on for Philadelphia as the Marlins have won 2 in a row to move back to 500. And Harper saying the team needs some moves at deadline, which is Monday, the trade deadline. I think we need some help. I think we've proved pretty much all year we've done a pretty good job. But anytime you can get some help in there and reinforcements, I think it helps. Asked about a bat and arm, I think both. And he said that he would be willing to move back to the outfield if that's what it took. Bryce Harper, he's a team player right there for you. See what the Phillies
do. You like Bryce?
Oh, I love him. I love his intensity.
I think he's a fun guy to watch.
Yeah. Now, I had the opportunity to see him when he was just a tyke. And some of that travel ball stuff, oh my gosh. If it was a weekend tournament.
Everybody was watching him.
If it started on Thursday, he's like 12 years old. The word around the site would be, Bryce Harper's flying in. He'll be here Saturday. I'm dead serious. I am totally serious. And then there's a club here. It's named after somebody financed it. They had a family issue or tragedy, and I forget the name of the team. And they play in the summer.
Marshalls?
Yeah, there you go. And he played on that team.
Oh, did he play on the Marshalls?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he flew in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I saw him play for them.
Well, there was lots of connections because he grew up in Vegas, right? So
yeah. And
he'd be at the St. George and the Mesquite tournaments.
Mm-hmm. And he's a Latter-day Saint, or at least he was, or is, or I guess.
Still is.
Yeah. Not that it matters to me, but there is a local connection. Yeah, Sports Illustrated did a big story on him when he was just a tyke, high school kid, and he graduated high school 2 years early so he could start his major league career, and away he goes. But I like his intensity. Yeah, I root for Bryce Harper. Fernando Tatis, 5 hits. The Padres back over 500. There you go. All right, a bunch of day games today if you're interested. And Shohei Ohtani, his next pitching performance, it's undetermined as he deals with bicep issues. I still say he should not pitch. He should just hit, and away you go. Get some other people.
For the rest of his career? Or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been saying it for a couple years now. He's so valuable offensively. And I realize he's a good pitcher, but he's had issues virtually every season he pitches. So something's up. Some guys got great arms, but they're injury prone. It happens. There's been a number of great pitchers who got sidelined because of injuries, and they just couldn't. They didn't have any staying power. Not everybody's Nolan Ryan. He can go through 200 pitches.
What's the disadvantage of having him pitch and hit? I mean, because
because
if your bicep hurts, you can still hit.
Right, but
still
statistically, there's stats that show when he tries to hit when he pitches, it doesn't work. So you're basically losing a bat every time he pitches. So you're sacrificing something.
So every fifth game, you're losing his bat.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why it hasn't been done. You only got so much energy in your body, and his arm's breaking down, and maybe it impacts his hitting. I just let him hit, swing away. DH, that's what it's there for. So use it. The Bees lost their opener 9-2 to the Sugarland Space Cowboys. Game 2 in the series tonight. First pitch 6:05 and coverage on 12:80 a.m. with Tony Parks will begin at 6 p.m. Okay, we're going to hit some college football today. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Jay Hill. You may have heard of him, former Weber State coach, former BYU defensive coordinator. And what is he doing right now? He's coaching Michigan. He is the Michigan Wolverines defensive coordinator. He will join us at 8 o'clock, thanks to Riley Jensen's connections. Yeah, tapping in. This guy's somebody. I ain't got no connections.
Guys, I'm kind of a big deal.
You are. There's no doubt, man. I try to get guys on. They ask,
listen, if you don't
will it help your
believe me,
career? I say yes. They say screw it. I'm not doing it.
If you don't believe me, just ask me. I'll tell you. I'm a big freaking deal.
Oh, I know you. That's why you're my first call. I'm like that lawyer. You're my only call. One call.
Call, that's all?
Every time DJ's out, I call you.
I don't know what I am actually really grateful for that.
I go right to you.
I don't know why. I don't know why you like me. You don't like anyone.
I don't know. You may have done something along the lines that caused me to like you. But yeah, I think you're great.
We can't think what that is.
You're very good at radio, and you've done radio for a long time. You understand radio.
I know, and it was because of you and DJ that I actually got my start. Yeah. Aggie Under the Bleacher.
Yeah.
Aggie Under the Bleacher circa 2002. I've been making verbal faux pas ever since.
You were first team all-whacker. That's why we had you on.
I'm sure that's coming, right, Jake? Oh, doesn't feel like my voice has changed very much. I always want to deny it. That's not me. Listen to that voice. It's not, and it sounds.
He's a first team all-whacker.
Oh man.
That was one of the finest moments in zone history.
Listen, I didn't even know what I said for like a minute. I'm looking over at Ryan Hatch. Ryan Hatch was subbing in that morning. I'm looking over at Ryan Hatch, and his eyeballs and his face are like this big. And I'm like I couldn't think what I said. I'm like, dude, I didn't say anything.
He's a first team all-whacker.
Bless Kobe Carl.
That's right up there.
Kobe Carl.
With the D in Alice.
Right.
Which DJ said he was trying to be clever.
What's the one with Monson where he's like, hey, where you at?
Damian Hunter. Well,
how you hanging on? Where are you?
I'm in San Bernardino right now.
A 2-minute question. You may have gotten the carries as a part-timer, and then this, I talked to you, and I don't know. It's all over the place. Oh my gosh! I had to do, occasionally we do some public speaking, so I had to go down to the Miller Group down at Jordan Commons, and they said, "Do you have anything that you want to, audio-wise?" And so I used a couple of blips. I used the one where DJ says to a woman caller, "You don't sound like a Debbie." Well, I've been one for a long time.
You don't really sound like a Debbie.
Well, I've been one for a long time.
All right.
I dropped to the floor on that one.
Oh,
and I used that one, and then I used the San Bernardino one, and the audience went nuts.
Yeah.
They loved him.
You passive-aggressive little punks.
Wasn't he sick during that one?
Yeah, he was. And I was in Mexico on the Jazz Beach Bash, so I wasn't available to be here that day.
That was a good one, too. You
So-
passive-aggressive.
Wang.
And Wang. Play that one so Riley can hear it.
And Wang.
He's such a nerd.
He's such a nerd.
That's why we love him.
Here. He's not
That's
here
why we
to
love
defend
him.
himself.
I've said that a million times to his face. That's why he's so lovable.
I agree with PK.
because he is a nerd. Oh, man. So we'll have Jay Hill coming up. It's Big Ten Media Days, man. We'll talk a little bit how Riley thinks all those LDS guys who are now invading Michigan. We're going back. But many years ago, they came west. Now they're going east. And they're in Ann Arbor, and we'll have Jay Hill at the top of the hour. Talk a little bit how he thinks that staff is going to do there next. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
I am back to where I was before this whole summer league started.
Hall of Famer bust?
Are we sure any rookie is starting?
Oh, no. We should not be.
No.
I don't think that ever changed, though.
No, I'm totally with you. I started off with, I don't think he's going to start. I said I wouldn't be shocked if Svi Mikhailiuk starts. Maybe it's Ace, but the Jazz are trying to win games next year. Ace wasn't particularly good when he was on the floor in summer league either. I know he had back injuries, but is Ace ready to help you get to the playoffs as a starting shooting guard in the NBA? Well, the truth is probably not, and I think Darren is showing that right now, probably not. He's certainly not the best option you have. And if you are worried about the game of politics out there of, well, why is Ace coming off the bench for Darren if Darren was good but not great in summer league and Ace was good but not great during an entire regular season? Maybe the answer is neither of them starts. That's totally fine.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Sitting in is Riley Jensen. Now, we've picked up a local football team. We've expanded. We've got the locals in the state, and I think this year and in the subsequent coming years, who knows how long we'll go, that Michigan football has become a big local story. Obviously, with Kyle Whittingham taking over the head coaching job. And not just that, bringing in a number of guys that have Utah ties. Jason Beck is a coordinator. He was the coordinator. He worked for Ronnie Mack at Weber. And then obviously he was backup quarterback to John Beck at BYU and the offensive coordinator at Utah. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. I think he's a rising star in the business. And you've got Coy Detmer, who is Ty's nephew, who was a quarterback coach here last year. Doug Elisaya, he's the what do they call it? The director of football sports performance. I mean, we usually call it the strength and conditioning. Gennaro Guilford, longtime BYU guy, is the cornerback. Jim Harding, longtime offensive line coach for the Utes. Jay Hill, defensive coordinator. And let's see, you got Kenny Niumatalolo's son, assistant tight ends coach. Lewis Powell, been here forever.
Isn't Kyle's son's the tight ends coach?
Yeah. No, Kyle's brother, Freddie.
But his son is coaching there.
Alex's linebacker coach. Micah Simon played at BYU, coached at Utah, is the wide receiver coach. So there are so many strong ties.
Luke Batari, the kid that subbed in a couple.
Oh, yeah. He's Chris Stapleton lookalike guy?
Not anymore. He's got a nice haircut. He's all cleaned up now.
Oh, because, it's time to be an adult.
I ran into him down in Newport Beach this year. And he's like, I actually didn't. I was actually like staring at his tat. I'm like, that's a really good tat that guy has. And I was just kind of staring at him. He's like, Riley? And I'm like, Luke? Because I didn't even recognize him without the long hair. Now, when I did quarterback training for him when he was in high school. And that's how I know him.
Sure.
He went to the same high school as Tom Brady.
Oh, cool.
So he's from Northern California. And he's like, Riley? And I'm like, oh, dude, Luke, I was just about to compliment you on your tattoo. I didn't even know that was you. And I go, you're all cleaned up. He was awesome.
Oh, you got to grow up. You got to get a job. You got to play by the rules.
Well, if you knew Luke, though, like the Luke Bryan thing, I think it was more of a persona thing. Because if you know him as a person, attention to detail, very, very, like, he wasn't a 6'5" guy, so he's never going to get everything you want. But as far as like knowing how to play the position, knowing like what football is all about, I mean, he's going to be a great coach someday.
Cool.
Fun guy.
Good. Wish him well.
It was good to see him. That was the last, and I was standing there with my son, so I got some street cred with my son because I'm like, hey, that's the assistant quarterbacks coach for Michigan. He's like, it is? Because, he didn't have any Michigan gear. I mean, obviously he's not recruiting. He was on vacation before the season starts.
Yeah, I got you.
And he's like, he coaches for Michigan?
Yeah.
So
there's a ton of Utah connections, ton of state of Utah, BYU, and even Weber has a connection there with Jason Beck. Just your initial impressions of taking a bunch of Utah guys, essentially, plopping them down at the winningest school in college football history. Where, I've been back there. I don't know if you guys have been back there. I've been back there a couple of times. My wife's mother grew up there, so I've been back for personal reasons beyond work. I've been back there for work a number of times. And, wow, I mean, you can't get any bigger than that.
Major blue blood program.
Initial impression.
So the initial impression is this. I don't think, and there was a part of me when the whole thing went down with Michigan and Kyle had just resigned. I'm like, dude, they're going to go get Kyle. And this was before anybody, said anything. Kyle is the perfect fit for what they need right now. They need 5 years of clean, above the board football. Yeah. He's going to bring stability. He's going to bring the old fashioned Michigan toughness to the program. Everything that they want, they're going to get out of this staff. And he doesn't have, I know so many of those guys that you just named on their staff, none of them are problem children. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be issues off the field. This is a great staff. They know how to play football. They know how to coach football. They brought in some really, really great players. I'm surprised they didn't get more BYU players. They hardly got any. But they stole a couple of very significant University of Utah players. They've got a great coaching staff. My initial impression is they're going to hit the ground running. This is going to be a team that's in the conversation, if not this year, next year for the national championship. And I think this is a perfect fit for Michigan. And I think what's really interesting, and we'll talk to Jay, in the next hour here, I think it sets up perfectly for Jay to be the head coach there.
It does. If not him, Jason Beck.
Right. But one of those two are going to be the head coach at Michigan after this. Because they're going to see the success, and people aren't going to go, they're going to be like, we don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
This is Michigan. It's all in place. And I can't say enough nice things about a lot of the guys that are on staff there. This is a great move for Michigan. I think it hurts Utah for a couple of years. I think it hurts the University of Utah. And I think it hurts BYU for a couple. Both of those teams, it hurts them a little bit. And here's let me tell you what my theory is on some of this stuff. So you take a good defensive coordinator, or you take a good offensive coordinator, and I think they're a plus or minus 2 for your team.
What do you mean by 2?
So
2 wins, 2 points?
So what I mean is 2 wins. I think if they're really, really good, they get you about 2 more wins per season. I think if they're really, really bad, they get you about 2 losses per season. And if you're average, you're just about where you would be. I think Jay Hill is a plus 2.
Certainly wasn't Provo. And it was
Does that make sense? So I think that BYU has to overcome that. Now, I'm not saying that Coach Papinga isn't going to be great on defense. I have a lot of good things to say about him as well. But does he have all the nuanced ability and all the ability of play calling and all the different things that Jay Hill has? He doesn't yet. He doesn't have the accolade. He doesn't have the experience that Jay had. But he certainly had 2 years to watch a guy do it for really, really well.
No question.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how far the drop-off is there, but I do think Jay Hill's been a plus 2. Now, on the other side, you go to the University of Utah on the offensive side of the ball, and I think he was a plus 2. I think Coach Beck was a plus 2 as an offensive coordinator. And I think you have to overcome that. So I'm not saying, these teams aren't going to make a bowl game. They're not going to be competitive. They're not going to be good. But I do think they have some coaching deficiencies to overcome. And I really like Kevin McGivern. I like him. I think he's a journeyman coach who has done amazing things at schools that don't have half the athletes the University of Utah do.
Right.
I mean, he's been at San Jose State. He's been at University of Utah. I mean, I think he was at San Jose State last, and he had that wide receiver that led the nation in receiving. He knows how to call plays. He's going to have an opportunity with some really good players and a really good quarterback right now to make some hay and to make a name for himself as well. Mm-hmm. So I know the original question is, how's the fit? I think it's fantastic. I think University of Utah and BYU are going to do great, but I do think there's a little bit of an adjustment there as far as coaching goes.
Any concern about just being in a different environment that is foreign? I mean, all these guys, when they got these jobs, they'd been trained in the so-called, just the familiarity of the location.
Right.
They knew what to say. They knew how to behave and everything. And and they knew all the high school coaches because they've had deep roots here.
I think it's tougher to be a really good coach in Utah because it's more nuanced than it is to be a really good coach at any school in the country because there's not as many moving parts. Like you got the missionary program when you're coaching in the state of Utah. You got the Polynesians that are significant contributors to college football in the state of Utah. You've got people in the state of Utah that love to see local players play, but when you're trying to build a national program at Utah or BYU, it can't all be built around local players, right? So I think it's a little bit more nuanced to be really good in the state of Utah. I think it takes a little bit of pressure off of them at Michigan.
Okay.
And I think the one thing that has been interesting to me is that they have enough confidence in themselves at Michigan to bring a kid from the state of Utah in that they know is a top-level player. They brought the Moa kid in from Fremont. They have some players that they're still bringing in from the state of Utah, and they're like, hey, people just don't know it, but kids from the state of Utah, when we know A, B, and C about a kid, we know he can play national championship type football at Michigan.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I think it's less difficult. Now, the pressure is different. I think the pressure is different than University of Utah. If they don't win,
You look at, Riley, that when the Utes went to the first Rose Bowl, I talked to countless amount of Utah fans. I mean, that was an unbelievable game, right, with Ohio State. And all Utah fans, everyone that I spoke to, they had the time of their lives. That whole time down there going to the parade, it was like a dream come true. And it didn't matter that they lost. And I get it. I agree with them. It didn't matter. It was an unbelievable game.
It will at Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. So you're not going to get, wow, we had the time of our lives, but we lost. No, you didn't. If you didn't, I was in the Rose Bowl in 1987 when the Sun Devils beat Michigan. And you could see the looks on the Michigan people's faces. They weren't very happy. You know who the quarterback was then? You may have heard of him.
Harbaugh.
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh. Of
course, I meant the quarterback for Arizona State.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, a forgettable name, but a guy named Jeff Van Raphorst, who is
He did play in the NFL for a bit.
Who is the radio analyst for the Sun Devils and still living off that 1987.
Amen.
Because he's the only guy who won a Rose Bowl for the Sun Devils.
Ride it.
Yeah.
Ride that thing.
That's his claim to fame. And I went to that. I was living over there. I just moved over there and went to that game as a fan. And so, yeah, the pressure that they haven't had, the scrutiny.
There's going to be a high level of scrutiny. But here's the thing. It's not like Kyle's cutting his teeth with like new coordinators and that he's a new coach. He's not going to make the mistakes that he made in year 1, year 2 as the head coach at the University of Utah. He's going to make the right decisions.
But, and I listened to him. He did an interview the other day because they all got in earlier in the week for Big Ten Media Days in Chicago. And Rich Eisen is a Michigan guy, apparently, was interviewing him. And I'm thinking, I'm driving home after work. I'm thinking, this is going to be fun. And he says, Rich says, what's it going to be like when you put the headphones on in the big house?
And Kyle's like, it's like any other.
I already did that during spring football multiple times. He wouldn't have of it. He wouldn't hear it. So
that part, I'll tell you that part, and I know we probably need to get to a break. It is interesting to watch all these high-profile interviews that he now gets.
Oh yeah,
like it just seems like it's happening like every week. He's on with
certainly
Rich
when he
Eisen.
got the job, yeah. It was.
And like I'm just like, holy cow, that guy used to be at the like yogurt shop over in Fort Union. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm like, oh, he's on TV again with Rich Eisen this week, and it's like, even though Kyle had that persona here, like you would still see him places at normal places around here, and it wasn't like, and people weren't up accosting him and like.
No.
I don't know. I'll bet it's a little different now.
Yeah.
I'll bet there's places in Michigan he can't really go and like enjoy just a normal life.
Okay, we'll have more of this coming up. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Okay, Jay Hill coming up in our next segment now. We talk about hitting the ground running for Michigan. It's going to be tough, man. Week 2, Oklahoma's coming into Ann Arbor. I got their schedule on their website, and it said, sold out, buy on SeatGeek. And then they go to Iowa. No, Iowa comes into Ann Arbor, sold out, buy on SeatGeek. And then then they go to Minnesota. Then Penn State comes in October 17th, the same day BYU's playing Notre Dame, sold out, buy on SeatGeek. And it's 100,000 that they have there. And then the next week after that, after Penn State, Indiana comes in.
Sold out.
Sold out. You caught on. Yeah. Then they got a week off when they go to Rutgers, and then
Michigan goes to Rutgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Halloween Day.
Teams like Rutgers,
October 31st. Yeah.
They have it so easy, and they suck every year.
They do. And then the next week, Michigan State comes in, sold out. And then they go to the following week after that, November 14th, they go to Eugene, Oregon. And then they've got, you tell you, nobody respects UC Los Angeles because on the 21st of November, that's not sold out. And then, of course, at the end, they go to Columbus. So they play Penn State, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Kind of a fun schedule.
Okay, you still think you'll hit the ground running?
Yes. I mean, look, they have an established quarterback. They don't have to reestablish like that they're Michigan. Like they're Michigan. I mean, there's so many things in place. Now, Underwood was not that great last year.
A little shaky.
Like he was
a first-year freshman.
Yeah, 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. I think he's going to significantly improve. And if he improves significantly, then, oh, man, this team, there's a lot of key things in place for them. And then the stuff that they've brought in from the University of Utah, the coaching staff, the recruiting that they've done, I would be very surprised if they're not right there competing for the championship of their conference.
Okay, the voice you hear is Riley Jensen sitting in. We appreciate his opportunity to tell us what he thinks and coming on in when DJ's off right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Now, what we have next is our guy, Jay Hill, calling in, defensive coordinator at the University of Michigan. Stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know that thing that you love? You'll find others geeking out about it on Facebook. Whether you're looking for community or inspiration, Facebook helps turn passion into action. Obsessed with running a marathon? Discover a neighborhood run club group. Start training and meet your new neighbor. Thinking about cooking more at home? Connect with meal prep groups to discover recipes in a new community. And as you're scrolling the feed, you may even find reels showing you top running shoes or the best tools for your culinary journey. This summer, find more on Facebook.
Having the right people in your corner for life's biggest milestones makes all the difference. Like a friend who's there when you're house hunting or checking out a new ride, State Farm is there too, helping you choose the coverage you need. With a State Farm agent, you know someone is there to help you along the way. And with so many coverage options, it's nice knowing you have help choosing a plan that fits your needs, so you can continue celebrating all of life's milestones. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Joining us now on the KSL Sports Zone is Michigan defensive coordinator Jay Hill. Jay, good morning. You're on with PK and Riley Jensen. Appreciate your time.
PK, Riley, what's up, guys?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're a busy man, so we'll get right to it. Here's the way it works. In the beginning of December, I got word that there might be a decent chance Jay Hill would be the BYU head football coach if Kalani went to Penn State. And by the end of the month, well, that didn't happen. He is the Michigan coordinator. Wow, what a whirlwind month, man. And as you look back, how crazy was it for you?
Well, Decembers are always crazy for coaches. Now, because you got the portal, and also that's such a time for coaching hires and jobs and interviews, and it's such a crazy month. And this one was crazy just with everything going on. And there were other opportunities than the ones you just mentioned. So that's what's crazy is every year Kalani's going to get schools that want him to leave. There were those opportunities for assistant coaches every year. It's a weird month for us.
A few years ago, score was 38-31. You walk off the field from a tough rivalry loss to Snow College. And I'm just wondering if every once in a while you think to yourself, man, I learned a lot of resiliency by losing a tough rivalry game to Riley Jensen. Do you think that's had any influence on you coaching at Michigan?
Did that really happen?
It may not have. Maybe I'm just dreaming.
I don't know. I don't know if I remember it. I do remember this. Riley was an absolute baller in college.
A
baller. So,
that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah, my first taste of him was my first year at Rick's College. So
no. In all seriousness, no. In all seriousness, I've had a chance to watch you all the way through your career. I did lose a rivalry game to you when you were at the University of Utah. You've been a tremendous coach at BYU and Utah, but one of the places that I really got to watch you and where I really just gained a ton of respect for you was at Weber State. And I can't remember specifically whether it was a Montana game or a Montana State game, but I was interviewing you at halftime, and I've never seen anybody so calm and basically just tell me, like, hey, we're going to make this change and this change. And you kind of looked at me with that little grin that you have sometimes, and you were like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And you came out, and it was just masterful how you made halftime adjustments. And I think it's one of the things that you are so good at. And I saw you do it at BYU. Now you're going to be taking it to Michigan. What is it that makes you feel so confident about obviously you put a game plan in to stop from the beginning of the game, but I think you're just masterful at halftime adjustments. How do you do that? What is the process of that as a defensive coordinator?
Well, most of the time in the first half, you've seen the offense do what their main game plan is for you. Mm-hmm. So if you can go in and just tweak and change some of the stuff that you feel like you got to combat it, then that's the idea of halftime adjustments. The other thing is just being able to go into the locker room and look the guys in the eyes and say, okay, here's what we just faced. Here's what's going to happen in the second half. I think that's a critical component to just good coaching is being able to look those guys in the eyes and know what they need. If a coach goes in there freaking out or they're panicked or they looked worried, then that's going to carry on to the players. You've got to go in there with extreme confidence that you know what's happening, you know what's going to happen, and rally the troops such that you can play in the second half the way you got to play to win.
You look at this football schedule this year, it's wow, this is incredible. You know, Oklahoma's a non-conference game, Penn State, Oregon, Indiana, and obviously the rivalry game to end the season. When you're coaching in a conference, now with the transfer portal, it has changed a fair amount in terms of the changeover from year to year, but there are some familiarities with these teams that you play from one year to the next. And with the big conferences, you don't play the same teams like it used to back when you were coaching earlier and then when you were a player. But I'm wondering, how do you get familiar with all these teams that you haven't faced as a coordinator and you've got to know them inside and out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've spent the last couple months studying our first two opponents, and then I've spent a ton of time studying Ohio State, and then I spent a lot of time studying Iowa because they're the first Big Ten opponent.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't want to get too far ahead of it because, offenses change from year to year. Coordinators get their flavors of the year, flavor of the game. And you just don't want to get too far ahead of yourself thinking that you're going to study everybody because things do change and coaches change and players change. So that's where I put my focus. Ohio State, because we got to win that game. Iowa, because it's the first Big Ten game, and then the first two opponents because we got to get off to a good start. Other coaches could be different, but that's what I do.
You spent over a decade on Kyle Whittingham's staff, and then obviously you were the head coach at BYU, transitioned to BYU, made them one of the top defenses in the country over the past 3 years. If you think back on your career and on those transitions, what core defensive philosophy has traveled with you through every stop? And is there anything that you've had to change at Michigan, either as far as philosophy goes or personnel?
Well, that's a good question. I watched Kyle when I was a player and a young coach call this defense. I watched Gary Anderson call it. I watched Kalani call it. Everybody puts their own flavor and flair on it. I got to call it at Weber State. And one thing that was cool about that is I could try new things and it might not work. And you know what? Probably nobody knew. And Weber State was so amazing for me because I could really pinpoint and hone in on what I wanted to become as a play caller, as a head coach, as just an assistant coach. I just had so much growth and development. So going back to the question, I believe you got to be able to stop the run. No matter what the offensive scheme is, because they're all different, you got to be able to stop the run. I believe in man coverage when you can do it. Now, I'm not just going to force man just to force it, but I do believe in man coverage because it makes quarterbacks throw tight windows. And if you do it properly with good technique, everybody should be covered. Beyond that, I believe in keeping quarterbacks on their toes and not knowing what's going on in the secondary. So I think we do a good job with disguises. And then I want to keep them on their toes by not knowing if we're in man or cover 2 or cover 3 or whether we're blitzing. So we tried to do a good job of disguising, a good job of mixing it up. So if you're asking me like what I believe in, keep quarterbacks guessing on what's going on, make sure you can play some man coverage, and you got to do things to stop the run.
Jay Hill joining us, Michigan defensive coordinator right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We've often heard, and Urban Meyer talked about this a lot when he was here, is that the ones in a lot of different places, the talent is there, but at some of these places that aren't quite, quote, as big as others, that it is the backups where they suffer. Now, I heard Kyle talk about Michigan, and he felt like you guys had some obviously great talent, but that you may be a little light in the depth, particularly at the secondary. Could you speak to the depth as far as coaching at Michigan and what you see some of the differences are?
Well, there's a couple things that happened here is when everything went down with Coach Moore, a lot of the players went in the portal because of the experience or whatever had happened, and it was the portal window time. And then when we got hired, your main job is to try to get your players that you want to stay out of the portal and back here at Michigan. So some of the depth things he might be talking about were when we first got here, you're fighting the portal. We believe that we'll get here and recruit at an elite level as good as anyone in the country, and we will not be dealing with depth issues for very long. But I can say this, across the country, nobody has the depth, even at the highest level, that they used to have. Like back 10 years ago when Nick Saban was at Alabama, his his threes could probably beat most teams' ones. And they never left because you weren't getting more money somewhere else, or why would you leave to go somewhere that wasn't winning as much? And so Nick Saban and some of those teams back then just were loaded, ones, twos, threes. Their depth was unbelievable. But now it's harder for teams to keep your depth because someone who's sitting as a backup at say, in Alabama, going back to Nick Saban, if you're at Alabama and you're a backup, you might be able to leave somewhere and make $300,000 or $400,000 more by going somewhere else and being a starter.
Right.
And so that's what's created an issue with depth is money. It's harder to keep your backups because they can go somewhere else to be a starter and make starter money.
Is there any difference? I mean, we know that there's expectations. You're at a major blue blood school now. Is there any difference coaching at Michigan compared to Utah, to BYU? Is there any adjustment there, or are you just focused on the same fundamentals that you've always focused on, or does anything change when you're at Michigan?
Well, is there a difference? Yes. Does the process change? Absolutely not. At Utah and BYU, you were playing high caliber, big time football that those guys can go into any stadium in the country and win. And they've proven that, both programs. So I don't think the process changes. Now, when you're at Michigan, you're going to play Ohio State and you're going to have 100 million viewers. I mean, that's different. Mm-hmm. So there are things that are different. There are expectations that outside people, the media, and everybody else put on programs like Michigan. But, I mean, the fans at BYU and Utah, do they expect to win every game? Absolutely. Do the coaches go into every game expecting to win? Absolutely. It doesn't matter who we play. We're going in with the game plan and the process and the thought that we're going to win. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't change from place to place.
What's it like just living there? You've lived so long in Utah, and now you're in Ann Arbor. I assume you've been able to shoot par at Barton Hills Country Club and all that, but I'm just wondering, what's it like to live there?
You know what? Michigan has amazing people. I'd never been much in the Midwest. Amazing people, hardworking, very respectful. Ann Arbor is amazing because it's a very educated city. So much of it revolves around the university, but I've been super happy with the people. I've been elated with the program and the resources and the pride that the people take in Michigan, and not just in Michigan, but nationwide. I mean, our alumni base and fan base is amazing. So there's been so many cool things that this place has and represents, and really it starts with the people, great people.
And then I assume you got the membership at Barton Hills?
I don't have a membership there.
Well, then Kyle better take you.
The thing about golfing.
Yes, golf.
I wish I was a good golfer, but we really get to play about 1 or 2 months out of the year. So we never get our golf games completely greased up.
Well, I saw you that one time at the teed off. You were showing off at Ogden Country Club when we went up there to broadcast when you were at Weaver. And you crushed one right down the middle.
Yeah, he's good.
And you didn't even have time to warm up.
You're downplaying this.
I know he is. He's sandbagging the people of Michigan right now.
No, I wish I got to play more, but as a coach, you just never will get that opportunity to play as much as you would like to.
Hey, so you're sitting after a big win at Lehigh High School with Bart Brockbank and Cole Cooper. And you guys are like really excited about a win. And then you get to the end of the season, you guys end up going and playing college football at different places and you go different directions. And I know you guys are all still good friends. Is coaching at Michigan something you always thought you were going to do? Or is this something that's just evolved as you've coached at, different places? You're like, oh, this could be a possibility. This could be a possibility. And then it just keeps growing on itself. Or was this the plan from day one?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say this was the plan. When I started as a graduate assistant, I wasn't necessarily planning to be a coach, but as I was coaching through those first 2 years, I was like, I love it. I love it so much. I love the relationships. I love the intensity of it. I love the game days. And then, if you're a competitor, if you're going to do it, you want to do it at the highest level.
Right.
And so there were moments when I was at the University of Utah and I wanted to be a head coach. And so I took the Weaver job. And then I got aching for being back in the big stadiums and the atmospheres, and I went to BYU, and the place was amazing and wonderful, and they treated me so well. And being with Kalani again, just everything was so great. And then opportunities come where luckily I've had success, and I've been able to choose between some good opportunities, but I've always felt like and I say we because the staffs at BYU in Utah, there are coaches there that can coach anywhere in the world. I mean, there are elite coaches on both those staffs. And I felt like if the opportunity came up at the right spot, then I would be willing to leave. But it would have had to have been a right spot, like a Michigan.
And there you are. And we'll be watching Coach. It's going to be real interesting to see everybody because there's so many Utah connections. We've now got another local team we got to follow, the University of Michigan. It's kind of funny the way it played out. So we'll be following it. And just like everybody else, I'll love you as long as you beat Ohio State.
Well, I love that. And just so you know, the fans are the same way here. If you beat Ohio State, they pretty much love you. The one thing I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait for this, I can't wait to watch the BYU-Utah game. I can't wait to watch how Coach Scalley does at Utah, Coach Swan on defense, and Coach Papinga on defense at BYU. There's so much fun stuff happening in both those programs at BYU. I can't wait, or in Utah. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch both of them be successful. And now I'm in a spot where I can cheer for them both, which I love. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jay, we appreciate you giving us some time this morning.
Okay, guys. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Take care.
That is Jay Hill. Riley Jensen setting it up with his connections. He's known so many coaches in the state for many, many years and actually competed against them when he was quarterback at Snow and maybe Utah State a little bit there.
Yep.
So that's Jay Hill, now the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. It's an incredible thing to say. And I like how he downplays it. Some coaches, everybody's got to have an ego, Riley. But how do players receive it when coaches just deflect? And Kyle did that for so many years. How'd you build a program? His go-to answer is it's all about the players. And as a former player, is that what you want to hear?
Well, like we were talking about with Steve Sarkisian yesterday, if it's authentic, and it is with Jay.
Right, they can sniff it out.
Yeah, you can sniff it out. You hear that crap, and then they come and they're ripping you or moving the goalposts on you. But yeah, you care about the players
because he's out there talking about how you have to, how lucky he was to be in situations to be successful. He's part of the reason why the situations that he was in, if not a significant reason, were successful.
I think the cool thing about Jay, though, is as good as he is, I think he does understand that there is some luck and fortune to the timing of things that happen to you. I don't think that takes away from your hard work ethic and all the things that you put into it. But, when I was growing up, I used to watch John Elway on TV with my dad.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, hey, just so you know, Riley, for every John Elway in the league, there's two more that were just as good that didn't make it. I'm like, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. You are crazy as you can be. And then as I've grown up and as I've played college football and as I've seen certain guys and certain coaches and different things happen, there is some fortune every once in a while too. And it's not even guys that mess it up. It's just some guys get in the right line at the right place at the right time and everything aligns. And it doesn't take away from how good these other quarterbacks were that maybe didn't make it. It just means that they were in the wrong line at the wrong time and somehow it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. And so for somebody like Jay to recognize that I mean, he even just said it in the interview about how many good coaches there are that could coach anywhere in the world on the two staffs at BYU. He really believes that.
Yeah,
that's
right.
something that he's just throwing out there.
Right.
And he feels very fortunate and very blessed. And I think that's why it's so easy to cheer for a guy like Jay.
Yeah, no question.
He's just and when he deflects, like he even deflected on his golf game. I mean, he can flat out mash the ball in golf.
I've seen it.
You know, when I was at Weber, when he was at Weber, I'm still at Weber. I'd come walking up right by the volleyball building to go talk to the volleyball team, and he's in one of the most competitive pickleball games that you can even imagine, with like three other guys on the staff, because they have these little pickleball courts by the volleyball. And I'm like, dude is flat out competing at 40. He's 51. He's a year younger than me, and he's flat out competing over a pickleball game. And it was like must see lunchtime behavior for Weber State football staff. Like, they played pickleball every day in the spring at 12 to like 1:30, and it was hardcore. And it's just how he is, and the players love him because he's authentic. Jay's authentic. We talked about that yesterday. He's real to who he is.
All right, there you go. Coming up next, we'll get some Riley's insight on some quarterbacks, particularly one going into his second year at BYU. Stay with us next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeComb.
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, as he kicked off and the SEC kicked off their football media day, said that he is not happy whatsoever with what's going on in terms of the Protect College Sports Act. He has had conversations. The conversations about them tearing away from the rest of college athletics is real.
You know, college football, it's ironic that they're against the Save College Football Act. They don't want to be governed. I mean, that's what I keep hearing. The SEC, the Big Ten, they're the ones that keep dragging their feet. Everybody else wants to get this done, but because they feel like they are better than everybody else, they should get a better deal.
I really can't stand this guy. There are certain people out there that are just hell-bent on wrecking things that don't need to be wrecked.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Life happens on your carpet. Spills, muddy paws, mysterious stains. But keeping it looking fresh is easier than you think. At the Home Depot, you'll find a wide selection of carpet that lives at the intersection of quiet luxury and remarkable resilience. So durability is a worry of the past. Whether it's everyday dirt or bigger mess, you can trust your carpet to clean easily and stay looking and feeling great. Find your life-ready carpet at the Home Depot.
You know that thing that you love? You'll find others geeking out about it on Facebook. Whether you're looking for community or inspiration, Facebook helps turn passion into action. Obsessed with running a marathon? Discover a neighborhood run club group. Start training and meet your new neighbor. Thinking about cooking more at home? Connect with meal prep groups to discover recipes in a new community. And as you're scrolling the feed, you may even find reels showing you top running shoes or the best tools for your culinary journey. This summer, find more on Facebook.
Okay, man, you just heard Jay Hill, defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. You can get that on your podcast wherever you go. KSLSports.com has it. I want to tell you about the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate youth sports volunteer that you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. Listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All right, now, talking about quarterbacks. And talking about Underwood there at Michigan and how he was a starter as a first-year freshman. And what did you say? He had 11 touchdowns and 8 picks. And he's going to have to be better this year. And you believe he will be. Well, certainly he's going to have to be with that awesome powerhouse schedule that they've got that Michigan faces this year. And that's the same situation with Bear Bachmeier. He comes in as a first-year freshman, and we know what he does. And this year, I relate it back to when Aaron Roderick was on our air, offensive coordinator for BYU, and he was talking about the increased expectations for Retzlaff from his junior year to his senior year. Now we know he had the other issues off the field there, so his senior year didn't materialize at BYU. But Aaron had set some extremely high standards for Retzlaff going into his senior year in terms of completion percentage and whatnot. Now, what do you think that, and you know Aaron Roderick pretty well, his level of expectation would be for Bear Bachmeier going into his second year as a full-time starter?
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting about Bear Bachmeier, like just recently, he had like a Mount Rushmore tweet of his favorite, they interviewed him, I think, at Big 12 Days.
Big 12 Media Days, yeah, you're right.
They asked who the Mount Rushmore was. It's all running quarterbacks. It's Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
It's Cam Newton. It's Johnny Manziel. It's the only true passer in there was Joe Burrow, and he was the last one. Right?
Joe Burrow actually has been working with Underwood in the offseason there for Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is the next level thing for Bear, and Bear, watching Bear play quarterback, he's one of the most unique. He's a really unique quarterback to me in the sense that he's built like a linebacker. He kind of walks like his gait.
His number.
His numbers are linebacker.
I understand he dropped some weight this year.
But he's not your typical quarterback, and he loves to run the ball. I think A-Rod would like to just have I think if A-Rod could draw it up perfectly, he'd call for Bear to run on 4 to 6 plays, and then Bear would scramble on 4 to 6 plays. That would get him between 10 and 12 run plays. Well, 8 and 12 is really what I think it would be. And 8 and 12 runs a game would be much more comfortable for A-Rod than some of the games where they've been in a rivalry game and he's running it 20 times. Because they got to keep him healthy. The other thing that I think, and I know that I've said this ad nauseum, so please forgive me if you've heard me say this before, but I think the biggest part of growth when you're playing college quarterback is you have to understand the moving parts in the middle of the field. The easiest throw to make when you first come into college football, right, is a fade down the sideline. It's a rollout and throwing an out. It's an out to the closest hash mark. It is a screen pass. It's those bubble routes. Those are all easy. He throws those really well. He has the arm strength to make any throw that he needs to make. But one of the things that I noticed in the 2 Texas Tech games that were disturbing to me is when he threw over the middle, I'm almost positive, and I haven't asked A-Rod this, so I don't know for a fact, but I'm almost positive that Aaron was actually having to tag who he was throwing to because they were taking away all the outside throws and the streak balls. And they're like, no, we're going to make you read the middle of the field, and you've got to figure out how to do it. And he threw some costly interceptions in those games. And he had some accuracy issues because he wasn't as confident as he could be in the middle of the field. So when you're talking about young quarterbacks making growth and growing into the quarterback that you want him to be, that's where I think he's got to get a lot better. Is he's got to be able to make the throw over the top of a linebacker and in between a safety. He's got to be able to make a whip linebacker who's like the weak outside linebacker's life just miserable, because if he drops back, I'm going to hit the underneath. If he comes up, I'm going to hit the guy over the top. If he blitzes, I'm going to hit the guy right behind him that's running a slant. He's got to be able to throw over the middle with a little bit more intentionality and deliberateness. Now look, anybody can go watch the film and go, well, I can show you where he threw. Yes, but it's not comfortable. There are some throws that he's made, and he's making that effort, but it's got to be a lot better this year for them to take the step that they want to take.
So how do you get that? I mean,
more reps, film study, working with A-Rod to understand what it is that you're trying to do on each play. Like, what do you really want from me on this? Now, that's where I think the consistency of A-Rod being in that program for longer and longer and longer now is.
Oh, yeah. He's been there many years now.
I mean, look, I played for 4 different offensive coordinators in 4 different years when I was in college.
That had to help.
No. I mean, it helped. I'll tell you where.
Some variety in life.
No, well, I'll tell you where it did help me is I have a lot of breadth and I have a lot of knowledge about offenses because I had a guy by the name of Chico Canales who coached in the NFL, coached at NC State. He was my contact that got me to NC State. I played for Ed Larson, who was the 3-time state champion down at Lehigh, best offensive coordinator I've ever had. I played for Bob Petrino at Utah State before he was falling off motorcycles. And then and Norm Chow when I was at BYU, and then for Dave Arslanian. So I actually had 5 offensive coordinators, now that I'm naming them off, all really, really good. So it gives you some breadth. It doesn't give you any depth. So the key with A-Rod being there is that he's getting the depth of like what this offense can be. Mm-hmm. So I see him making those steps this year, but he also has to make those steps. So, but I don't see that as pressure. Like me going out on the microphone here and saying, hey, Bear Bachmeier has to be better over the middle of the field. I don't think he would listen to that and go, wow, this guy's being a real jerk to me. I think he'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to take my game to the next level. And then the next part of what I'm talking about here that's really, really important that keeps the chains moving on drives. That keeps you on the field longer as an offense. It keeps you in this ability to keep these big playmakers off the field in the Big 12. And you're driving to score a touchdown on a field goal instead of going 3 or 6 and out.
Yeah.
And now you're giving the ball back to some big-time players on the other team that can score points against you.
Do you think that Aaron Roderick unleashes the playbook? I mean, we expect that, but I'm wondering if that really happens. Because you can't go into it and be reckless just because you're a second-year starter. You haven't necessarily proven it yet.
No, I think every year when you're an offensive coordinator, I've done offensive coordinating in some way, shape, or form for like almost my whole life, at least since college, right?
Yeah.
You put in what a quarterback can handle, and you put in what your receivers can handle, because like there's certain things some receivers can do. Like every once in a while, you have a really, really cerebral wide receiver that it doesn't matter what defense they throw, whether they have a 2-high defense, a 1-high defense, a man-to-man defense, they know exactly what route they should run and how they should run it to get open. Every once in a while you get those. But there's teams where you have really, really physical and athletic wide receivers who can't read a defense, and so everything has to be scripted for them. And that makes the offense a little clunky in the passing game sometimes when you don't have guys that are cerebral wide receivers. And I don't know the wide receivers personally down there. I know they've lost a bunch of wide receivers. I'm hoping that there's a couple of cerebral ones. They don't have to, and those guys that I'm talking about that are cerebral, they don't have to be the biggest burner. It's like, I just spaced his last year, number 2 for BYU.
Chase Roberts,
very cerebral. Wasn't the fastest guy, wasn't a burner, wasn't the guy that like could get behind every defense. Very cerebral and could find the holes in the defense to get himself open and make himself really, really valuable. Very cerebral receiver. Do they have somebody like that this year? I hope so. But all of that has to be taken into account for A-Rod when he's deciding to open up the playbook or not. Is LJ Martin healthy? Is he running the ball effectively? Is the offensive line opening holes for him? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into whether you really open up the playbook.
Yeah, because that's what I'm wondering, because they've got the situation where they got Martin, who was the offensive player of the year last year in the Big 12, which says something to me. That says a lot.
Why do we not talk about him enough?
Because its focus is so much on the quarterback, but I get your point. This kid, and I love the way he runs. He runs so smooth, man. He's not really a herky-jerky guy, man. He just looks like he's gliding as he runs.
He's really good. My brother and I were talking about BYU football the other day, and he brought up LJ. He's like, why doesn't anybody talk about LJ? And I actually think it's because he makes things look so easy and smooth.
Yeah, I think he does.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, he makes hard runs look really easy.
He's a glider, not a runner.
Yes.
The way he moves, his body seems to always be under control, And
his
personality is like that. The guy has no flamboyance to him whatsoever. He's for a star, he's about as low key as it comes. You're dealing with guys like they had Jamal Williams. The guy, I mean, that guy is, and he was great, no doubt. He played many years in the NFL.
However,
but he was in flamboyant as they come.
Yeah, how many guys are going to compare the story of the Good Samaritan to the Bloods and the Crips?
Yeah,
that's Jamal Williams.
I mean, he was a great interview. Always a smile, always laughing. Reminds me of a Devin Dampier, only more over the top than Devin. Devin is a great interview, too. He's always on top. He's always on his game, and he's always in a great mood. Life is great. I'm getting paid to play quarterback at the University of Utah. What more do I want? And he's just a charismatic guy. Jamal Williams was that way, too, at a higher level. You talk to LJ, and he'll give you good answers, but he's so
not flamboyant.
Calm. No, but it's so reflective of the way he runs. We used to see like Reggie Bush would come off with these startling plays. How did he do that? LJ, you don't necessarily say how did he do that, but he's just as productive.
But that's what's so fun about great players, though. I mean, Tom Brady was like this. Drew Brees was like this a little bit in the sense that the great ones make really, really hard plays look easy. They make them look like one of the things that I talk about with quarterbacks all the time that people don't realize is a swing route to your running back is not a very easy throw. And it's one of those throws that makes you look really bad as a quarterback when you miss a swing route. Like when he's running straight away from you to the sideline and you throw the swing route. Guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees and these great quarterbacks, they make those throws look like it's like stealing candy from a baby. And then you see a quarterback that misses it, and we all want to kill him. I'm telling you, like, that route right there takes a lot of practice. When you got a big dude who doesn't catch the ball as well as your receivers does, running full speed away from you, he's got to turn his head around. You have to throw it perfect every time. And when you don't, it looks really, really bad. But when you do it all the time, everybody's like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's what you do. You throw a swing route for 8-9 yards to the sideline. And it's not an easy throw.
With L.J. Martin on the team, that's why I keep hearing all the playbook's going to be open. Bear's going to be unleashed. He's going to be uncaged. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second here, man. Is that really true? Won't we see a lot of the same stuff that we saw last year? Because it worked, first of all. It clearly worked. They won a ton of ball games with him. And you have a kid like a Martin who he has opportunity to set the all-time rushing record at BYU. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so he had 1,305 yards last year. That got him within, he's about 1,300 yards away from the all-time leading rushing record. And considering,
who is the all-time? Curtis Martin?
Curtis Martin.
I mean,
it's not Curtis Brown. It's actually
is it Harvey?
It's Algier, I believe.
Algier got it?
Yeah, Jamal took it from Harvey. I think Algier then reset it. He has a situation where he didn't play essentially the entirety of the Iowa State game last year. Remember how limited he was in the first Texas Tech game? I think he had 1,300 yards in, let's say, 10 games roughly last year.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a full 12, 13, 14 games this season. He could run away with that record.
Ah, Yock's got him in the playoff. I see what he done there.
Well, that's the hope.
He's just a good.
Isn't that the hope, though?
For them it is, yeah.
He's a really good player.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I don't know. That's my whole point. I don't know that I expect more out of Bear because the offense, as Kalani says, get me in the end zone. I don't care how you get there. Just get me there. And so why wouldn't you take it? I think we might be overestimating Bear's progression. And it's nothing against him, but it's more, especially with the receivers being a collective unknown compared to what they were last year. Now, they were still, if you look at it last year, at the beginning of this time, nobody had any idea, at least I didn't, that Kingston was going to blow up to the level that he did and was almost a 1,000-yard receiver. And we're going to pick anybody. We're going to pick Chase thinking that that's the case. And we knew, I believed Carson Ryan was going to be a good player. That wasn't a surprise. He'd been around enough to know. So I'm wondering just how the offense is going to look. I want to see Bear do what he did last year, maybe at a little higher level, not necessarily do a lot of different things compared to last year.
For the second time in my life.
You agree with me?
I do.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, I mean, it's true, though. Like, you can only open up the offense so much. Yeah. There's some things that I think hold the offense back as far as, like, throwing the ball next year. And so I do think you're going to see a lot of what you saw last year.
Right, that's where I'm going.
Bear and LJ running the ball, establishing the run game, being strategic and surgical in your passing game.
Well, I think the big story to take out of this segment, as we know, that Riley Jensen has been right at least twice in his life. I think that's the most important thing.
Isn't it what they say, a broken clock is right twice a day?
Yeah, a squirrel finds the occasional nut.
Well played, Patrick. Well played.
All right, we also got to talk about money. We'll get to that at the top of the hour. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome to This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson.
I am back to where I was before this whole summer league started.
Hall of Famer bust?
Are we sure any rookie is starting?
Oh, no. We should not be.
No.
I don't think that ever changed, though.
No, I'm totally with you. I started off with, I don't think he's going to start. I said I wouldn't be shocked if Svi Mikhailiuk starts. Maybe it's Ace, but the Jazz are trying to win games next year. Ace wasn't particularly good when he was on the floor in summer league either. I know he had back injuries, but is Ace ready to help you get to the playoffs as a starting shooting guard in the NBA? Well, the truth is probably not, and I think Darren is showing that right now, probably not. He's certainly not the best option you have. And if you are worried about the game of politics out there of, well, why is Ace coming off the bench for Darren if Darren was good but not great in summer league and Ace was good but not great during an entire regular season? Maybe the answer is neither of them starts. That's totally fine.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
That is the music of the Black Crowes. I recognize it now. We are giving away tickets to see them coming up in a couple of weeks. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-9663 will win a pair of tickets to see the Black Crowes with special guest Whiskey Myers at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 13th. 801-575-9663. 575-ZONE. Caller 12, and you will see the Black Crowes with special guest Whiskey Myers at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 13th out there on the west side. Okay, have at it. Start your calling. Ready, go. All right, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you've coached high school level ball. You talk about coaching college, and you've coached so many different levels and know so many different people. Weber State, our guy Eric Kjar, has got their practices going on now because they play early against Northern Colorado. First 3 games are on the road, including at Colorado, Deion Sanders' team. What level of adjustments do you think that somebody going from high school, not to be an assistant position coach, but going from high school to head coach, that's a big jump.
So let me just start by saying Eric's he's an incredibly charismatic personality. Like, the players are going to love him. The coaches that coach with him are going to love him. I think there's been a little bit, I think inadvertently, the whole Michigan staff going to Michigan messed with his coaching staff a little bit.
How so?
Believe it or not. So Eddie Heckert, for example, was going to be the defensive backs coach. He's at Michigan now. And he had played at Weber and had played at...
Jay Hill guy.
Yeah, Jay Hill ended up taking him. And so there's 2 things I think are really hard as a high school coach, and I think he's going to be able to overcome it. I don't know if he overcomes it in year 1, right? Because I don't think they're quite there as far as having all the players in place that they want.
You got to have talent.
They have some really good players, and they've hustled really hard. So, like, it's not like they're not out there, like, doing it. They're just, you got to have a certain amount of bodies on a team, and you got to have a certain amount of depth. I don't think he quite has it yet. I think he would tell you that. I don't think this is me. Here's where I think it'll be a little bit difficult. I think the hardest part for a high school coach to do is to put together a really good staff. I think that's a harder part than anything. Now, I think he has some parts there. I don't know if he has all the parts that he really wants. I mean, we'd have to give him truth serum to, like, actually really say whether he has all the coaches that he wants.
Yeah.
I think that's hard. And then I think getting all of your coaches on the same page and having the same standard for who you're recruiting to come in and how you want to recruit them. Now, Weber's in a little bit of a unique situation because when you look at a high school film and you see a really good player, well, if he's a really good player on a high school film, he's going to get offered by Utah or BYU. And you're not going to get him.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to have like a standard and have an understanding of like where this player fits with Weber State and why he fits at Weber State. And that takes a couple of years, I think, to like really establish with your coaching staff and even with yourself about how am I going to compete in this league. And to be honest with you, a lot of people call the Big Sky Conference kind of either the SEC or the Big Ten of FCS football. Right? It's a really good conference. And
no question.
You have to get good players. You got to figure that out. So I think those are the two hardest things as a high school coach. Really maybe hardest things to do as just a new head coach. Now, but if you're a new head coach from like another college, you kind of have established like what your standard is for what you're going to recruit and how you're going to do that. But I'll say this. I have an 11-year-old son right now. I don't know if he hopes to play college. He loves every sport, so I don't even know that football is his number one sport right now. He plays football, basketball, and baseball. But if my son were to play college football, I would love to send him to Lance Anderson at Utah Tech, Eric Kjar at Weber State, Kalani Sitake, Morgan Scalley, and Bronco Mendenhall. I think those are 5 of the very best men that I would want to send my kid to play with. I think that rivals anywhere in the country. Those are good dudes. Great coaches, good people, would take care of your son. I think we are in one of the most unique situations in the state of Utah right now as far as like good men being at the helm of the universities here in the state of Utah. Now, I don't know the Southern Utah coach as well. I don't know him at all. I'm not saying he's not. But those 5, if my kid played for any of those 5, I'd be like, oh, how awesome is this? Let's put on the hat and let's ride into the sunset. This is going to be a fun thing for my son.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable people. Like Eric Kjar is as charismatic. If he were sitting in this room right now, he would have some story in between segments that would be laced with a couple of curse words that we can't throw on air. And you and I would be eating up the stories. We'd be eating up the stories.
I think he makes fun of me too much, though.
He makes fun of everybody, you big baby. You're not unique.
Oh, I'm not at all.
It's called the spotlight effect. You're like, oh, he's picking on me. No, he picks on everyone.
He likes to ride people.
You think he's just picking on you.
He likes to ride people. Well, it would upset my wife.
Because he teased you too much?
No, he teased her.
Oh, well.
I worked with him for many years.
That's a whole, like, listen, one of the hardest things I've had to learn in my marriage is that I cannot tease my wife the way I used to tease my teammates. And that's kind of how you show you love your buddies. We tease the heck out of each other.
Oh, I know.
I have a friend that tells me, this is his joke with me. He's like, if the Lord and Savior himself walked through that door, you'd make fun of his sandals, Riley.
That might be a little bit stretching it. One of my proudest moments was when Bronco Mendenhall made fun of me.
That is a sign of endearment.
Right.
And that probably doesn't come easy from him.
Yeah. I remember.
Because that's not his natural
No, it's not.
MO.
But he felt comfortable enough around me to tease me.
That is actually phenomenal.
And I used to love it when Kevin O'Connor, an Irishman from back east, we got a little bit of background.
Yeah.
And he would give me crap all the time. And I loved it.
Oh,
that's what I do.
In some ways, I've actually read some psychological studies on this. One of the reasons why it happens in the locker room so much, and I want to dig deeper into this. I'm thinking about going to some more schooling because I want to study this a little bit. One of the reasons why the college and high school locker room is, and really even like little league sports is really important, is because your ability to take teasing is an indicator as to whether your teammates can trust you under pressure situations. And there's some correlation that some of the teasing that takes place is put in place not consciously, subconsciously, to see, hey, can PK take it? Can he handle a little bit of pressure? I'm going to tease him a little bit here to see if he's really my guy, see if he can really handle like an adverse situation. And then if you respond to that well, and you give it back to me, or in some way you deflect it in a funny way, or there's a million ways to react to it. But if you can't take it, you can get like removed from the hierarchy of a team if you're not careful. So guys do that not only to show that they care about someone, but to find out whether I can trust you or not.
I got it. Yeah. Riley Jensen is also a mental health performance coach. He has a website. If you want his services, what is your website?
rjpg.net. That's like Riley Jensen Performance Group.net. rjpg.net.
rjpg.net. And he works with a lot of different people doing some great work. Okay, when we come back, we're talking about a quote that the Iowa coach said about imbalance relative to money. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back in. Thanks for joining us on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Riley Jensen sitting in for DJ. I want to read you a quote about Kirk Ferentz, the longtime coach at Iowa, who is the most tenured coach in college football. I think Kyle Whittingham is number 2 as far as that goes. But he said about the growing imbalance, Big Ten is having their football meetings in Chicago this week. When we went to the Rose Bowl in 1981, the 13 years prior, there were 2 teams that went to the Rose Bowl from the Big Ten. So basically, everybody was lining up in August for 3rd place. If we're not careful, we're going to get that kind of imbalance in college football. That's just how I see it. And I think he's talking about money. And earlier this week, we saw that Ohio State is going to get patch sponsorship that they'll put, I guess, somewhere on their jerseys, up by their shoulder pads probably, with J.P. Morgan Chase for $17 million annually. And then we saw that Notre Dame is going to do a deal with SoFi that's going to be worth between $18 and $20 million. So there's talk of the haves and the have-nots with this money situation. And it does work a little bit of both ways, as I think we've seen. Yeah, I mean, we've all known that there's some schools that have been paying for a long time. And we saw the SEC do that. And we had Jay Hill talking about why would anybody leave Alabama? You're not going to get more money and you're going to win and all that stuff. And now with the money, you can go someplace else, maybe get more playing time and money. So are we going to have an exclusive club that's going to be reliant on money? Texas Tech hadn't won a league ever, literally, in football. And then they win it last year. And the year before, they hadn't won more than 8 games since Mike Leach, which was 15, 20 years earlier. And now they're dominated last year, only had 1 loss, and expected to be all that again this year because they got a couple of guys pumping in untold amounts of money into their program. And you wonder how the fan base is going to receive it. How's it going to accept it? I'm talking about the general fan base. If it's your fan base and they're paying, you're going to love it because it's going to win, and fans don't care about the money. They just want to see your team win, and that's all that matters to them as long as they're doing it in an ethical manner. And right now, paying players is ethical. So with that in mind, what do you think, man? Is it going to get worse or going to get better? How's it going to play out?
I actually think that it evens it all out. And look, I appreciate the comments by Kirk Ferentz, and he's worried about Iowa,
of course,
the University of Iowa.
If he had a sugar daddy, he wouldn't be worried about it.
It's actually his pitch to the boosters. It's his clever way of saying, we don't have enough money, guys. Bring it in. It's a lot better than what your Arizona State coach is doing every time, where he's like, I know we got a billionaire somewhere in this valley here in Phoenix. He's done it like 6 times now.
He needs to do it 7 times. He needs to do it 8 times. He needs to do it 9 times.
Obnoxious. I think
sure, but that's the reality of it.
No, I know.
Would you rather have the truth or would you rather backdoor it?
Kirk Ferentz is telling the truth. It's just the approach that I like.
No. I want the truth.
Okay. So,
you with Dillingham, you can't handle the truth.
You're just a little sensitive right now because I picked on your Devils.
I appreciate what he's begging for money.
He is begging.
I threw a 5 spot on him.
Look.
I gave him a $5 bill when we were down in Dallas a couple weeks ago.
Shook his hand, gave him a $100 bill.
5. I said, I used to tell him, they called me in 1987 and they said, hey, we need some money for the school. I said, well, you went to the Rose Bowl, I'll give you $25. And I told him, I said, you go to the Rose Bowl again, I'll up it to 30.
That's nice of you.
And they haven't been back since.
Oh, they went back.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they went back once with Jake
I
gave him 30.
Give him 30? Okay.
And
I thought they had that win, dude.
I
thought they had that.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't speak.
Freaking Joe Germain.
I hate it. I told Joe Germain, I hate your guts.
Dude, I didn't play against Joe Germain, but I have like some circles with him because he played at Scottsdale Community College and I played at Snow, and there's some couple of players that I knew from Scottsdale.
Yeah, and the Devils wanted him at defensive back. He wanted to be a quarterback.
I told Joe that he ruined some good feelings that I had going for Arizona State.
I hated him.
Because I loved Jake. I loved watching Jake in college.
He coached or he played the indoor football up here, so I got to.
Oh, that's right. He was with the Blaze for me.
Yeah, I told him I hated his guts. I think he's back down in the Valley coaching high school ball.
So here's why I think that it evens out, and that I think Coach Ferentz is a little bit wrong in the way that he's saying this. Let's take Jacob Rodriguez, star linebacker for Texas Tech last year. Unbelievable player. Okay, really, really good football player. I mean, that guy was all over the field against BYU.
Heart and soul of that team.
All over the field against the University of Utah. Amazing player. That guy is 2nd or 3rd string at Alabama for his whole career in the past. 2nd or 3rd string. Maybe never sniffs the field, but stays at Alabama, tells everybody he played for Alabama. He comes back. He's still a hometown hero, even though he got minimal playing time at Alabama.
I understand.
But the reason why we know Jacob Rodriguez is because he got paid good money to go to Texas Tech. And Texas Tech is a really good football team because they have oil money to pay people now.
Sure. Well, good for them. But how does that even it out? That just helps Texas Tech.
Well, but there's 4 billionaires within 20 miles of BYU that are donating money to BYU, so that evens that one out. And then
but if you have the money, you win. How does that even it out? That evens it out against Alabama. That's always the standard. Alabama.
Well, it evens it out against Michigan. It evens it out against Ohio State. It evens it out against Florida. It evens it out against Georgia.
So
because they don't get to stockpile
5 more teams.
They don't get to stockpile 15 players that could have been really big stars on every other team.
Great. So you let 5 more in. That doesn't even it out. Even it out means you got 50.
More than 5.
I got 50.
There's more than 5.
I'm making a point. So there's 10. Whoop-de-freaking-do.
That's more balanced than we used to have.
But that doesn't even it out. Now you've moved the goalpost. But you've gone from more balance to even it out.
But it's going the right. It's going the right direction, and it's going to even out.
It is not.
People are going to get more money.
That's not. No, they're going to give more money in the short term. But and I've used this example, and DJ, we've cited it. The Eagles throw their name on the building, and it sits there for 25 years. Well, you got to go every single year, and not everybody's going to win every single year. And these teams, they're going to get these donors are going to get tired. I'm not going to get this money every year.
Well, yeah, I am.
Just to win a couple of football games.
Here's why.
No.
Here's why.
No.
Because now they have more access to those players than they've ever had. If I'm the guy that's in charge of the NIL that pays Cam Reiser, I get more access to him. He's at my house. Sorry. Right.
I was going to say rising.
Sorry, guys. Come on. You knew what I meant. So now I have access to him. He actually gets to come over for Sunday dinner to my house.
That's sick.
It is sick. But that's why people give money, because they're sick.
But asking him to do it over and over and over and over.
Well, but over and over and over again, it's just another quarterback or another wide receiver. Or another, for the rest of my life,
it's not.
I get to be good friends with the main players.
Who did you just cite? You didn't cite a receiver or quarterback. You cited Jacob Rodriguez, a third-string linebacker at Alabama, according to your own words that came out of your mouth. And he
was a star at Texas Tech.
Right.
We bring him in. I get to have him over at dinner. He gets to shake hands with my kid, play catch with my kid. I love that memory. I don't care how much it costs.
Right. And then they got White.
And then the next year.
And they got White.
And then the next year it's
playoff.
Will Hammond. And the next year. Oh, you think Texas Tech's not ever going to get into the national championship game the way they're going right now?
No.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Well, yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are.
Why do you say no?
Because they're in Lubbock, Texas.
So?
And
we just had Bloomington, Indiana.
Hey,
right, but that ain't Lubbock, Texas.
You would live in Lubbock, Texas right now if they were paying him $1 million a year to do sports radio.
Sure, but they can get somebody.
Players are the same way.
Right, but they can get that money somewhere else because it's just going to go up and up. Kyle Whittingham's talking about it. He just said it this week.
Why?
We're going to have $50 million rosters next year.
You think Baton Rouge is a better place to live than freaking Lubbock?
No, LSU's a better program than Lubbock.
Right now.
Historically. And
right.
Yeah, and I do
but
think it's a better
evening
place.
out.
No, it's even.
That's
Texas,
my point.
Yeah,
That's my point.
Texas Tech is evening out. I'll give you that. But you're still having a select few. You're having a difference between the haves and the have-nots. And the haves,
but the
historically,
have-nots were never
been SC, Ohio State. Those guys will still be there. Then you let in Vandy. You let in Texas Tech. You let in Indiana. Who the heck else is getting let in? BYU, except
Utah,
they're not going to have the money. Utah's not going to have the money of Texas Tech.
They have an investment group now.
Good for them. Then if that works, everybody will have an investment group.
Right, and it'll even all out.
But you won't have this. And if everybody has the same amount of money, then it's going to go right back to this. No, it's not. Because
then it's even.
If
they all have the same amount of money, it's now even. Then it becomes who coaches better.
It's the same amount of money among the elite. It's not the same amount of money among UTEP.
You know how
it's not the same amount of money of Iowa State.
You want to know how I'm right?
It's not the same amount of money at Iowa, according to the 72-year-old.
You want to know why I'm right?
Because I do.
Because you're yelling at me.
I'm talking.
You're talking over the top of me.
Because it's my show. I'm an East Coast dude who talks passionately.
That condescending New Jersey.
I didn't want to use it, but you forced me.
See how you talk to West Coasters? This is how you do it.
You forced me.
Yeah, no, because you know I'm right.
Rank.
I forced you to yell at me because you know I'm right.
I didn't want to pull rank.
You know I'm right.
I had to be heard because you were screaming.
I was not
There's a difference
screaming.
between yelling and screaming. I was talking passionately. You were screaming.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I know exactly.
Like
only
wife.
I said worse.
Sound like my wife.
Yeah. It's still... Kirk has got this issue here, and he's asking for money, but he's in his 70s, so he's
Kirk's
out the
been
door.
making millions of dollars for years at Iowa,
but he wants to win. Everybody wants to win.
He doesn't want to win. He wants more money.
Well, that's one and the same. Money equals. And like BYU, they had to pay up to keep Kalani and his people, or else they were going to lose because Penn State was going to pay more money. Eventually, somebody's going to pay more money, and the more money you pay...
I don't feel bad for Kirk Ferentz.
No, neither do I. But it's about the institution of college football, and where are we going there?
He's doing just fine. Iowa's doing great.
Right, but he's playing for third place. Only now he's playing for fifth place because they let in Oregon.
In Indiana?
And Indiana's got guys like Mark Cuban, and they got their jollies by winning, and they tasted that. And that's, I told you, winning is the ultimate intoxication. I told you that on Monday, and that'll never change.
No,
and that's why people want to do it.
It's fame.
It's winning. Man, winning brings all the issues and all the joys that you want.
What do people that win and have money actually really want?
To win and get more money.
No, they get bored with it. They want power. They want power
and
after that.
It only comes through winning. How did Mark Cuban get to have that? Because the Mavericks became a winning organization, and he got to the top. If he would go, Donald Sterling had it with the Clippers. He had more money than anybody, and they sucked year after year after year.
Yeah, because he wanted to run like a company that was actually
but he got no fame for it. It comes through winning. What did Jerry Buss, who was just a land developer in L.A.,
he just measured winning different.
Winning gives you that fame. It gives you that, you get to be the jock sniffer. You get the 20-year-old come over to your house for dinner and you're 60. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Who cares about that? But that's what they want. I agree with you on that. They are. BYU guy used to call them jock sniffers. They'd be around. I saw a guy, I don't know, I didn't see it. I was told somebody went into BYU's locker room after a game and told a coach who they should play because he gave money. Yeah, John Huntsman, the great John Huntsman, who's done phenomenal work. He's deceased now, did phenomenal work for so many great things, the cancer and yada, yada, on and on and on. And he got access to Don Nelson and NBA people through Majerus. That's what they want.
Yeah, no,
and that's what they get. So they're going to keep giving money. There's going to be a bunch of schools that can't give money. Your Utah State is going to get even more devalued. They're not going to get higher. They're going to fall further behind.
But it doesn't matter which system they were in. They're not valued.
Yeah, but yet when Gary Anderson was there and they had the top 20 team, you love that season.
But if there was one billionaire that could pay for them, they'd be valued.
Right. Yes. Talk about making my point. Yes.
Well, but that makes it. But
that doesn't even it out.
It does.
Utah State is going to fall further behind. That's a fact.
Right now.
And in 5 years, in 10 years.
In 10
and
years,
they got that one dude who gives all the money.
Jimmy Lobb.
Yeah. But, and that's not enough. You need more than that.
Right.
Yeah. So you're just going to
find them.
You're going to create. How about you put some modifications? The coaches are telling us. Kyle's saying we need guardrails.
This is
he's at Michigan, and they burn money in the winter to stay warm.
This is a socialist idea that you've got going on right now.
I didn't vote for that guy. Don't you slap that on me.
Even it out. Make sure everybody gets some. That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing.
But yet
you call them guardrails. They call it common sense.
Common sense. And we're going to find out how much. And you're in the psychology of it.
I can't believe that you hate. The fact.
I hate you.
I can't believe that you hate a good, strong, capitalistic society.
No, I want to see what the youths were able to do by identify and develop. Now it's identify, develop, and pay.
It's capitalism.
Pay. But and
you want socialism.
All the negatives that are going to come from this, you just wait. When we see these guys who
survival of the fittest.
They don't know how to read or write, but they got all this money, they got all these hanger-oners, and all these people that want to come to them, and we're already having child support. You already told me a story of a college kid who has to freaking pay child support, and he's paying. Do we need college kids having to pay child support?
If they
Is
make
that
money,
really where we want to go?
If they make money, they better pay their child support,
and that's in the best interest of the infant, right? That to get where he or she comes into this world by not with a husband and wife, by somebody who's paying child support at 18 years old. That's really good for society. I hope we have more of that.
You're blaming that on NIL?
It's going to happen because it happened in the look at all these people in professional sports that have to pay child support.
It's better that kid is actually getting child support than nothing under the old system. Because the kid would have just been on scholarship.
Pair of dirty socks, it's better that I have 2 pair of dirty socks. That's what you're comparing it to.
No, that's not the same. That's not apples to apples.
It's apples to kumquats. No, I nailed it.
No, you didn't.
All the stuff the problems that are going to come with money.
You've been yelling this whole segment. I am so right now. And it really bothers you that you're not for a capitalistic society, that you're for
painting
socialism.
Me as so left.
Because you're socialist.
Next, you're one step away from calling me a communist, and I voted for Reagan both times.
Listen, communism is just
Reagan,
Communism is just well-developed socialism.
Look at you.
That's all it is.
I'm going to two things right now. I'm going to go to break, and I'm going to go to the bathroom and throw up because of what you just said. That's unheard of.
I just can't believe
on my show.
An established
25
capitalist,
years into
an
it,
established
and you're talking
guy
about
that loves a roaring economy in America is cheering for socialism in college football.
No, you know what I'm cheering for?
I just can't believe that.
I'm cheering for a billionaire to come to the Devils, and when they get that, I'm cheering for 2 billionaires.
That's socialism.
And when they get that, I want 3 billionaires.
Why are you upset about it then? That's a beautiful thing for your school.
It's socialism, but you're the one who's telling me this is going to even it out. That makes, as my buddy in high school once said, a hell of a sense. 97.5.
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Zone will get you caught up on what we missed, and hopefully Riley will have repented and set up a meeting for Tuesday night with his ecclesiastical authority, and we can square this away
he came over
right
last
now.
Night. Don't worry.
You need to go there.
No, listen.
Well, yeah, that was with the initial guy. Now you need to go to the 12 at a higher level.
Your religion, I paid for a cell of indulgence that paid for future sins before I even got here.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, come join me because you're going to be down there.
Storm clouds are looming overhead right now.
Stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
I am back to where I was before this whole summer league started.
Hall of Famer bust?
Are we sure any rookie is starting?
Oh, no. We should not be.
No.
I don't think that ever changed, though.
No, I'm totally with you. I started off with, I don't think he's going to start. I said I wouldn't be shocked if Svi Mikhailiuk starts. Maybe it's Ace, but the Jazz are trying to win games next year. Ace wasn't particularly good when he was on the floor in summer league either. I know he had back injuries, but is Ace ready to help you get to the playoffs as a starting shooting guard in the NBA? Well, the truth is probably not, and I think Darren is showing that right now, probably not. He's certainly not the best option you have, and if you are worried about the game of politics out there of, well, why is Ace coming off the bench for Darren if Darren was good but not great in summer league and Ace was good but not great during an entire regular season? Maybe the answer is neither of them starts. That's totally fine.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. All right, what we've been talking about today. Talked a little NFL football. Our guy, Clint Kubiak, new Raiders coach, saying that Kirk Cousins is going to be the starter, and you like that. You don't think that they should throw Fernando Mendoza right off the start and have Fernando Mania.
I'm always a fan when a high-level draft pick doesn't have to start right away. I thought it was decent. I thought it was a decent thing for Jackson Dart last year. I think when quarterbacks don't have the pressure to come in and put the franchise on their shoulders right away, they get a chance to catch up to the speed of the game. They get a chance to catch up to everything. And I noticed you're not yelling anymore this semester or this segment.
I'm not in school, Riley. I've taken you to school, but I am not in school.
Listen, taking me to school does not mean yelling louder than I do.
And that's hard
your
to
argument
do.
was
My
not.
My stomach hurts right now.
I have a booming voice. It's not a yelling voice.
Oh, okay.
It's a quarterback voice.
Yeah. Well, we're not at the line of scrimmage. In fact,
it feels like we are.
I just got a sack. I got a TFL.
You did not. I freaking saw the blitz. I checked down. I hit the slant right behind your ear.
In fact, I got multiple sacks. And right now, I can sit here and proudly proclaim that I experienced the joy of sacks.
I'll tell you the guy that I feared the most in football was not the guy that yelled, "Oh, trips right, trips right. We got trips right." That guy's nervous. That's how you acted last segment. The guy who I feared was the guy, when I sent somebody in motion, he watched the guy go in motion with his eyes, and he looked back at me like, what?
Oh, yeah.
That guy I feared. And you're the loud barking linebacker right now. That's what you are. I'm not nervous.
No.
You don't scare me because you talk loud.
I am Bill Parcells. Yeah.
Bill Parcells.
I made you put the guy in motion.
You might be Bill Parcells, but you're not telling the truth, and so I can't count on you, Mr. Inauthentic.
My whole life is the truth. In fact,
You can't handle the
They're
truth.
going to put that on my
You
tombstone.
can't handle the truth.
He told the truth. That's what's going to be on my tombstone.
This epitaph keeps getting longer. And
Why do
longer.
I feel like on Monday he had something else that he put on his...
I've produced the show for 12 and a half years now,
There's
Riley.
like 3,700 things on his...
his epitaph is going to be, it's going to have to be an obelisk that's, I don't know, however long. And I suggested a while ago to DJ that it needs to be like a screen that just kind of just rotates through.
Yes.
No, we're going to have the Washington Monument.
No, we're going to have that.
The Washington
and we're going to have it
Monument
be
of-
sponsored because I'm the
It's
ultimate
gonna
team
be
guy. I will be
sponsored-
making the company money
sponsored by
even after
Entrada.
I'm dead. That's how loyal
He's a big
I am
BYU
to this
fan.
company.
Entrada will be on there.
You know what it starts with, right, though? There's one word.
What's that?
You know this, PK. Come on.
What word?
Irregardless.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
That's a
gets so
cliche.
mad.
You got to wait until you don't start the rookie. Why not? Jaden Daniels did just fine.
Well, no, I think it's okay if you do. I think you increase the percentage
both sides
chance
of your
of
mouth.
being good if you don't start him to begin with. I don't think it's any different. Listen, I don't think it's any different than this. When BYU was having their run of incredible quarterbacks, and this is all right in my wheelhouse, from like 8 years old to like 18 years old, you had
Times have changed.
But no, I know they have. That's my argument here. You had a run of like Gifford Nilsson, Mark Wilson, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Robbie Bosco, couple of bad years in there, and then you had Ty Detmer, right? So you had this
Who
run.
are those guys?
But all of those guys
They
had
weren't any good.
Those bums have all this hardware.
I can't even talk now. I like that's like when I'm arguing with my 7-year-old daughter and I say it's time to go to bed because it's dark outside. And she goes, "It's not dark outside." Look, the argument's over. Like, there's no argument if you're not on the same like playing field. You can't tell me who are those guys. Anyway, the argument is this. They all had like 2 years to watch, and then they became All-Americans in their own right, set all kinds of records in their own right.
I know, against Long Beach State.
But you can't do that. Well, it doesn't matter who you're playing if you're
Sure it
developing
does.
quarterbacks. No, like they all have to develop. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Like quarterbacks at Utah State still have to develop. It doesn't matter what your schedule is. You still have to develop.
I understand that, but you don't necessarily need to sit. Joe Burrow didn't sit. Jaden Daniels didn't sit.
But nobody lets you do that anymore, even in college football. It doesn't mean that system isn't the better way to me. It's the better way. If you want to develop a really, really high-level quarterback,
It's the outdated way.
Okay, because you're new school. You're real new school. Everything you do is new school.
I agree.
Like you're not old school at all.
I agree.
You are not like, hey, when I tell you to run that through that wall, it's because I said so. You're the guy that sits down and goes, hey, let me tell you all the ways that it's important for you to run through that wall.
No, if I trust someone, I'll do it.
No,
I don't trust you.
That's old school.
No, so are the 10 Commandments. I adhere
You
to
don't
each
believe in
one of
those?
them. Religiously, I might add. And I'm not even a religious person. I
What does
adhere
that
to
even
them.
mean?
What?
Religious person.
Goes up to the mountaintop on Sundays. That's what you need to know.
I mean, what's the difference between a religious person and a spiritual person?
You
One
got
goes
me,
to church?
Man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just I pray for mercy every time I pray. I need it. I need it more than ever. So we'll see what happens there. I just don't. I don't know that you need to waste guys. Just have them stand there and hold a clipboard for 2 seasons like Jordan Love did. And I know Jordan Love is your guy, so they do that. I understand that.
I mean, it works. It still works.
It can work, but it doesn't. It's not the only way that it works. What do you think of this playoff? Tony Petitti at the Big Ten meetings saying 2014 playoff, and
He wants to get it done by like next year.
Yeah. So I'm all for eliminating the conference championship game.
Well, yeah, because I think it hurts some people.
I don't. What's the point of playing 9 conference games?
Well, it was money.
And having 1 game.
Well, it was money.
So expand the playoff, and that takes care of the money.
That takes care of the money. I totally agree.
But do we need to go to 24? Can we do that, get it accomplished at 16?
That's where I don't know. So here, let me give you an example of just like my Little League football team last night. We're doing testing. We do 40-yard dash. We did pro agility. We did a T-test, right? But at the end, everybody wants to know who the fastest guy on the team is. So I took the top 8. We did a group of 4. We did a group of 4. We took the top 2 who won that, and then those 4 run against each other for fastest guy on the team. Well, when I'm doing that, the bottom 4 were not going to compete for the championship. So I'm the capitalist side of me.
I thought it evens it out, though.
Well, okay, so here we go. So the capitalist side of me says, put more teams in because then you make more money, and there's a lot more to talk about. It builds things up. People are excited.
Agree.
You're in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
The reasonable side of me.
It's like teams getting in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
They want to get there.
Right. You want to get in there, and that's a big deal. If they took the top 24 teams, it's kind of like your top 25 team. You made it to the playoffs. That's a really good season for you, right? But do we need more than 12? Like, I think 16 is the ideal number.
I want to see them go 16 before they go 24.
That's fair too. Third time in my life that I've agreed with you. I would like to go 16 first because I think 24 is too many. I don't think the bottom 12 actually have a chance in Hades of winning the national championship.
Yeah, like the NCAA tournament in basketball.
Right.
I understand that.
So, yeah, it builds hype. Is it the most efficient system? I don't know. I think 16.
Why do you think the Big Ten is so bent on getting 24? So they can get 10 teams in?
Maybe, yeah, more money. Dude, I promise it goes back to money somehow.
Everything does.
Somehow, there's some metric that he's looking at that goes, if we did this and we get 6 teams in every year,
he'll make the schools in the Big Ten more money, and therefore he makes more money.
Yes, and makes more teams more happy. And if 6 teams are in there, they're going to divide that money up. That makes his whole conference better, which in turn makes him looked at better. There's some metric that he's looking at that he goes, man, let's get rid of our conference championship. Let's throw 24 teams in.
Right.
We think we can get 6 teams in every year.
Yeah, which they will. But they were getting in 5 and 4 teams in conference.
I know. It's not that fun.
Yeah, it waters it down. It gets diluted.
Although, so then, if you take the underdog side of me that loves this, if Utah State has a 10-2 year, do they slip into the 23, 24 seed?
I can see it.
And that feels...
It will happen.
That feels phenomenal for Utah State.
It will happen. If they went 24, there's some year, whenever, the Aggies will have that season.
Yeah. Now
They've done it before.
That's
they'll do
fun
it again.
for me. And then even then, it's like, okay, so I have a top 25 Utah State team, and they're playing against number 1 Michigan in the first round. Am I not going to that game?
At Michigan?
I'm going. How cool is it? Dude, we played Michigan at Michigan in the playoffs. And the same thing that you were talking about Utah being at the Rose Bowl, and everybody had a good time no matter what.
Yeah.
Utah State fan has a good time no matter what. Dude,
yeah.
You remember that trip we took at Ann Arbor, and I went with my son, and
I agree.
We were walking around, and we saw all the statues, the national championship trophies, and it was beautiful.
Ann Arbor is as
it would
cool
suck
a place
in December.
Yeah. Now I've only been there in non-conference games, and the town is really cool.
Right.
My mother-in-law grew up there, so I've been back there many times.
So that's the part of me that makes it fun, and maybe that gives Utah State a little bit of money every 10 years that makes them healthy.
Yeah, but I don't think they're not looking at it for those teams.
No, they're not. But it gives those teams an outside chance to get in.
They still have an outside chance. It gives them a better.
Right.
So
I mean, right now it's real tough to get. You got to be a top 12 team.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, we let in. Who did we let in last year? James Madison and Tulane.
Right.
Do they have better programs than Utah State?
I don't know.
Maybe last year.
Right.
But we're looking, you're not just
overall. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not a team versus a program is two different things. And we'll see what happens with Utah State going into the Pac-12 because I think that this is the best situation for them that they've ever had.
Yeah.
It's a decent conference.
Right. So that's where I would make the argument for 24, but I think ultimately 16 is the best. And then nobody can give the excuse of like, well, we had to buy the first round and we weren't ready to go because we had more time off than the other team.
Yeah. I'm sick of that.
I don't like that.
Me either.
Dude, if you were good enough, you would have beat them. You
agree,
had 2 weeks to prepare.
1,000%. But you need to bash that into DJ's head next time you see it because he keeps bringing it up and it drives me nuts.
But what I like is that nobody can have that excuse in the 16-team format.
Yeah, it took until 9:45, but you finally said something that wasn't stupid.
Well, you stopped yelling for like 1.21 seconds.
Well, I gotta motivate you, man, and that's the only way to motivate.
You have to motivate me.
I agree.
You have to motivate me.
I know.
That's the problem with you East Coasters. You think we need motivation. I don't need your motivation.
Oh, you do too. You don't know what doggy dog means. You don't know what it means to be on the street. Come on. You don't know what it's like to have blood streaming down your face.
You have so much street cred coming from the really tough streets of, like, New Jersey.
There's not a street paved in gold in that state.
I guarantee you there was, like, cows, like, 2 blocks away from your house. I've been to New Jersey before. It's not all tough.
Where I came from,
there's a bunch of soft
it was
parts.
Gritty.
Sure it is. Everybody in New Jersey.
We play tackle football, no uniforms on pavement.
See what I mean? You got no credibility.
Right. And I started doing it at 5.
I'm just saying, everything on the East Coaster says you have to divide by 4 to get anywhere near the truth.
Oh, man.
It's all exaggeration and bravado.
That is bull crap.
Exaggeration and bravado.
All we do is spit truth loogies.
No, you don't. You're so full of crap, your eyes are brown.
No. Yak, have I ever said anything that wasn't true in all this? And you're 12 and a half years.
The things you have not said that are true?
Everything I've said has been gospel.
Dude.
Everything.
Tim McComb's got your back in here.
Everything I've said
you have
is
to divide
gospel.
by 4.
No.
You have to divide by 4. Everything he says, divide by 4.
Well, you're from Utah, so I don't even know if you know how to divide by 4.
Oh.
Well, yeah, that's what Tim said.
And he condescends to the West Coast.
He went to Utah. I said, I'm not sure I'll be able to actually do that.
He condescends to the West Coast again. Yeah. I love it.
I won't even say what I want to say.
Listen, I'm getting pretty good at fighting with East Coasters. I've been doing it for 15 years now.
And you still come in second place.
According to you and according to her.
Right. 2-0. Away we go. What do you think of these teams wanting to take their former players to school because they've signed to court because they've signed a revenue sharing contract?
I think this is
LSU wants, LSU's 2 players. Ole Miss wants to do it for 2 players going to LSU.
Yeah, this is the part that gets a little bit interesting. Is we're now talking about major businesses, and we're talking about, this is like signing a non-disclosure with a company. If you sign this contract, you also have to sign this non-disclosure. You can't work for this company for the next 3 years if you leave us.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you become a professional organization, and these are the spoils of the war. They're going to have to lawyer up. They're going to have to get attorneys. They're going to have to defend themselves. They'll probably win, but they'll lose $200,000 in the process. But they probably made that up by about $800,000 by signing with LSU.
So you're okay with it?
No, I'm just kind of resolved to that. Like, that's what's going to happen. I don't feel that I don't love it.
Right.
I don't think it's great.
You've accepted it.
Yeah, it's kind of
so
like.
So what you're saying
I've
is,
already gone through the grieving process.
I got you.
I've gone from denial.
Be ready for this, Yak.
Denial, depression, anger, bargaining. I'm in acceptance.
So by accepting it, you're okay with the guardrails. When we come back, we will close up shop, get you ready for the next show.
Typical
right
socialist.
Here on 97.5.
Typical socialist. Cut me off.
KSL Sports Zone.
Before I can talk.
PK.
Can't even get a word in edgewise.
Who's this, Ice Cube? tell you where I came from. I've been on the mean streets both coasts.
Oh, my gosh.
My wife
Here we go.
Taught at South Central.
Tough suburbs of
Ice
New
Cube.
Jersey all the way to the tough suburbs of L.A.
Ice Cube went to the high school where my wife taught.
Yeah, but she traveled in there for 30 minutes.
Not quite 30 minutes.
Just like every East Coaster, you condescended into a West Coast place.
I don't even know what the crap that means. I want to tell you.
You had to come down from your high horse to get
hardly,
down to us and heal us and make us better.
Yeah, where the amount of money that I made newspapers in L.A., the amount of money she made teaching.
It doesn't matter how much you make when you're from the East Coast. You all have to come down from your high horse.
No, I'll tell you why I'm so humble. It's now feedback time. Now, this was an email that was sent to company-wide, not just me. So all my bosses got this email, and rather than me read it, I want you to read it.
You're going to make me read something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please increase PK's meds. He's getting increasingly loud, negative, and obnoxious. It is past the point of enjoyment. I turned it off frequently. I turned it off frequently the last few days. He sounds like me.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary. Increase my meds. I'm like Caitlin Clark over here. I have feelings also. You don't know me as a person.
Yours are very dampened, though. Your feelings are dampened.
Aren't I, Yock, the perfect example of Caitlin Clark in this company? Just getting besieged by everybody, and I'm just trying to make a shot.
And you're shooting the threes
and
from the logo.
Protecting you.
Yeah. No, right. I got my own coaches hammering me. The league, all these commentators like Gary here, increase my meds.
All you want to do is shoot threes from the logo.
I just want to help my team win.
It's hard freaking work carrying this show.
I just wanted to help my team win, man. Jeez.
You are a victim.
That's all. And this guy he's basically saying fire the bum.
I think that's interesting because I'm always so surprised when people have time to write an email like that.
Like that, about me.
Like, I don't have time. I don't have time to write that. Do I sometimes think that? Not about you, but in general about somebody? Like, do I sometimes think, oh, God, this guy is freaking killing me? Yeah. Do I sit down and write an email? Talk about rumination. Talk about not being able to let things go in your head.
Yeah. He's trying to do harm.
Right.
To me. I've got 2 attorneys that are going to be talking to him very soon.
It was the meds part that got you.
The whole thing. Well, yeah, he said you're loud and obnoxious. I said, thank you for the compliment.
Right. The meds thing was like, you'll be talking to my attorneys.
Yes. I was watching.
You're like, I've never taken a med, and I don't want to.
I'm on natural meds. I was watching Axis TV. Dan Rather was interviewing Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And it's now, and he's reflecting back. He says, oh, back in the day, nobody did debauchery. This is Dan Rather. Nobody did debauchery and vile behavior and obscenity and disgraceful acts more so than Led Zeppelin. And Robert Plant says, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. He's just describing all this negative stuff that he did, and he took it as a compliment. So you're calling me loud and obnoxious. Thank you.
That's right.
I appreciate your kind words.
I actually told my son when somebody's being rude to him, say, oh, thank you. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Yes. I got your meds right here, buddy.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm in my 25th year, and you know when I'm stopping? I got no idea when I'm stopping because I'm still going strong, and I'll be back here tomorrow. So will Riley R. Jensen. Hopefully he'll be a little humbled from the defeats that he took today, and he'll have a better perspective.
Undefeated.
We'll see how that goes there.
Undefeated.
As far as that. Yeah, we'll see.
I'm like Central Florida. I'm claiming the national championship, undefeated.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm number 1 in both polls, if not all 3 polls. Coming up next, Scotty G and the coach. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.